can come to order. This is the work session of the River Edge Mayor and Council for Monday, June 16, 2014. The time is now 7 p.m. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by sending out notices on December 21st, 2013 to the Record and the Ridgewood News. We positioned, we put a notice of this meeting on the bulletin board in the lobby of the Borough Hall, and we filed the notice of this meeting with the municipal clerk. It's also on the borough's website. I'd like to remind the public that there are 3 exits and council chambers, 2 to the front and 1 to the rear. In addition, we are on the record, both by audio and by camera video. If during the public portion of the meeting, any member of the public wishes to address the governing body, make a statement or ask a question, they need only identify themselves, and they'll be given an opportunity to make a statement or ask a question. We'll do our best to give an answer. Can I have a roll call, please?
Councilwoman Murphy?
Here.
Councilman Capola? Not present. Councilwoman Bastide?
Here.
Councilman Mignon? Not present. Councilman Acapulco?
Present.
Councilman Papaleo? Not present. Let the record reflect that Mayor Mascalatola was also present.
Okay. And I would constitute a quorum for this meeting to conduct business in open session. Our borough attorney, Mr. Sarlo, has notified us that he will be late. Councilman Mignon indicated that he would be attending but late. Councilman Papaleo indicated that he would be attending the meeting, but he would not be on time. That was Councilman Capola. Councilman Papaleo called me a few minutes ago to let me know that he is not feeling well and probably will not be attending the meeting. We have a busy work session from now until 8 o'clock, and then we go into the public, to our regular public meeting. During the work session and during the public meeting, we will open to the public on 3 occasions to hear any of their concerns. During tonight's work session, we have an agenda that consists of several professionals who are here in attendance. We're going to hear their reports and ask them questions regarding projects that they're currently working on. So I'll begin with the borough administrator topics, which includes the HVAC replacement for the Borough Hall. We have Mr. Yusuf Patel, our engineering consultant, present. Alan?
Yusuf, you'll come forward. Mayor, we received bids on May 29th for the HVAC replacement for this building. We had a low bid from Phallic Construction at $361,200. That information was forwarded to Mr. Patel to review the references. The borough attorney can comment on the responsiveness to the bid specifications by the vendor, and we also sent the insurance information off to our risk consultant. Tonight, based on some of the favorable reports we've received, we've included a resolution on your meeting to make this award. I would just like to comment before you begin on the funding for this particular bid. We have 2 ordinances which would provide $350,000 of the $361,200 required. The additional $11,200 would be provided by the borough's Buildings and Grounds operating account. Superintendent Lynch, who is here tonight, is aware of this situation. We would then propose introducing an ordinance at a later meeting for about $30,000 to cover the cost of this $11,200 that would go into the operating fund and provide some additional funds in case there were some unknowns that came up during construction, so that they could be dealt with on a timely basis. So that's my plan financially for this particular bid, but certainly you should hear from the engineer tonight about the ability of the low bidder to perform. All right, Mr. Patel?
Right. Okay, as Alan mentioned, we had 5 bidders, and the lowest bidder, 3 lowest bidders we scrutinized, reviewed their bids. Though technically there wasn't much to review, however, reference check and company's resume was critical to look at, and we did that. The Phallic Construction, which is the lowest bidder, We scrutinized their references. We asked them to furnish recent projects and their contacts. We can call them and get the information, which we did. And overall, they seem to have a pretty good track record of all the people who I spoke to. There were specifically 3 references I received from different people, and one was from New York Housing Authority, another was Mammoth Parking System, and another one was City of Newark. And this company had done a lot of work for them, and they all spoke very positive about that. And we also asked some technical question about their ability to do this project, and also their ability to do this project in time. As we know, we have a very tight schedule, and we got all the pretty good confirmation from them that they will be able to do this project. So we recommended that we accept their proposal or bid for $361,200.
Okay. Any, Kathleen?
Why was there such a big discrepancy between their number and the top number? How can they be a few $100,000?
Right. Well, there were certain contractors, I spoke to them, and they mentioned that they were concerned about 90 days plus the summertime, July and August months, which are really holiday period. So they had to really give them a much higher wages than they would normally give. So that's one of the reasons I got, and that was a pretty strong reason. In fact, a couple of contractors I knew, they even opted out because of that particular reason.
People don't work during the summertime?
Well, they don't want to or they want to, but they are on, because 90 days, they want people to be here, and also prevailing wage would be higher because they compel them to postpone their holidays or stay here until the job is finished. And so that's the reason I got. So that's one of the reasons. Secondly, I think I said in my report that since we did this project 2 years ago, of course there has been some inflation, and also this is a hybrid system, so people do seem to price a little higher than normal system. So that's another factor to be accounted for.
Thank you.
All right, anything else?
Yeah, just a quick one.
Go ahead.
Based on your conversations, and since you will be, and for your construction administration services, whether in its present state or if in an amplified state, do you feel you'll be able to instill a working relationship with the low bidder?
Yes, I think so. From what I did had a discussion with them to find out their ability, and they gave also pretty positive response. And of course, I did point out that you are the lowest bidder compared to other bidders, and you feel comfortable doing it, and you have no reservation. And they said no, they are taken full consideration, and they are ready for doing the job.
Okay, thank you.
Kathleen?
When you were doing your background research of this company, did you see if they had any judgments against them? Were there any, did you look that far into it?
I didn't check that part, but I got the people from City of Newark. The chief engineer spoke so highly of them.
So Newark's not in good shape.
Yeah, they said they did 20 jobs, and he would give them, even right now they're doing jobs for them, and they're very happy with them. So I didn't sort of go any further than that. I mean, my concern was too, because I do want a contractor who we can have a good relationship and do the job. And the City of Newark chief engineer gave an excellent, he even invited me to see the jobs they're doing at now, and he said, I have no reservation whatsoever about this company.
So hopefully they can, like the number that they have given us,
Right.
they won't be coming back for change orders frequently?
Well, that's something which we have to obviously be mindful about that. It is up to us to make sure that they don't come up with any excuses, or they don't misinterpret our documents.
Mhm.
We will have to be very vigilant about that, yes.
Thank you.
Alan, did you have concerns about the construction management during the project?
That was a question for the council. I don't see that it has to be decided tonight. We can bring that back at a later time and see whether we want a little bit more frequent oversight
Okay.
as we get closer to the start of the project.
All right. I think we are all in agreement with your consensus, Mr. Patel, that the low bid is a qualified and responsible bidder, and the resolution's on the agenda for tonight, right?
Yes, it
To award
is.
the bid?
Yes.
Okay,
So, thank you very much.
okay, great.
All right, anything on the TULIP program tonight?
Yes, Mayor, I brought this
Thank you.
back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I brought this back, if you remember, this is a program where the borough would sign up as a representative of this program, and should the mayor and council decide that a little extra insurance was required by a group of individuals who wanted to use one of our facilities, then we could refer them to this company who would provide that insurance. I was asked what the cost might be, and we did get an email back from them indicating that a typical minimum premium would be about $103, which would cover a one-day event with 100 people or less under what they call Class 1, which would be meetings or weddings. And then the next attendance bracket goes from 101 to 500 people, and that price would go to $134. So it's nominal, for a situation where you have a large number of people who are using, meeting space or a park area or something like that. But again, this would only be based on the mayor and council or one of the other agencies' direction that additional insurance would be required.
All right. We can discuss this when we have a full contingent on council.
Okay, thank you.
Next down, a review of the garbage collection bids and the in-house option. We have Mr. Lynch, the DPW superintendent, present.
Yes, if you'd like me to report on that along with John Lynch, we can do that now, or we can wait a little bit longer if you'd like.
Well, let's do that now, and then we'll deal with any issues involving Mr. Costa, and then we can...
Shade Tree also.
We have Shade Tree.
John, if you would come forward, I'd just like to report first on our joint bid with New Milford. We provided the mayor and council with notification that the receipt of bids has been postponed due to a slight glitch in the advertising. The New Milford Borough Attorney has ruled that we should go out again and re-advertise and accept bids in the fall for the New Milford program. At this point in time, unless the mayor and council have any concerns, we would keep the specification the same as what it currently is, and we would go out again with New Milford.
Doesn't our existing contract expire in October?
October 16th, it does expire, yes.
So we're going to wait until the fall to rebid it?
That would be the next time that we could receive bids. If we got to that date, you would be able to extend it month to month on an emergency basis.
Okay.
But since the bid spec has to be out by law, 60 days, we would have to follow that.
What happened the first time? What was delinquent?
The New Milford had advertised in both the Record and the Star Ledger, and while they got notification and confirmation that the Record ad was placed, the Star Ledger did not send confirmation that they had advertised it.
But did they advertise?
There's no way for New Milford to determine that.
If someone got the Star Ledger and it was in there, wouldn't they see that?
Well, I asked that question, and New Milford, did not receive the affidavit that it had been published, so
So if you...
that wasn't the answer. The borough attorney ruled they should go out again. Have clean
But
hands.
if it was printed in the paper, that would say it was printed. You actually need an affidavit for the actual...
No, I'm
printing?
not saying that. I'm saying New Milford did not receive an affidavit.
What date was that supposed to be in the paper?
I don't know that I have a copy of the date of the ad. I could look through the emails, let's see. They were sent via email to both the Record and the Newark Star Ledger on April 8th, with a request for publication on April 10th.
Okay. So if I can find that in the Star Ledger on that date, that would be sufficient?
I do have to get back to the Borough Clerk Administrator tomorrow morning and let her know what the Mayor and Council has decided. So, at this point, I would indicate that we're going out again, unless anybody has something else.
Either
If you want to look it up,
Either it was in the classified section, or it wasn't.
Right, so it could be in the classified, they just didn't get the confirmation.
Right.
So if I go to the April 10th newspaper of the Star Ledger and it's in there, then it got published.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll go to the library tomorrow and look it up.
Okay.
Okay,
Mayor, if I may,
we have the in-house option to go through.
That's okay, let's go through the in-house.
John Lynch and I spent some time, we put together a spreadsheet of the costs of an in-house operation of collecting garbage, only garbage, from residential and small commercial establishments. The spreadsheet was divided into personnel costs, vehicle costs, actually a facility and construction cost of a building facility to house these new garbage trucks, operating costs, the operation of the facility, vehicle maintenance, other equipment that might be necessary, and debt service. And we based our study on a consultant's report, which the borough had done in the mid-'90s at a cost of about $40,000 among 3 towns. And one of the conclusions of that report was to look at a mechanized version of collecting garbage. And they indicated that one of the most effective ways would be to use what's called a Corrado hopper, which is a hopper which sits in front of a garbage truck and allows the arm to dump garbage into the hopper in front of the truck instead of lifting it all the way up to the top of the truck or the side of the vehicle. And this takes less time and allows the truck much more maneuverability, and they can do a lot more pickups in a shorter amount of time. So what we looked at was purchasing 3 top-loader garbage trucks, not the rear loader, which we have now, top-loader, because the Corrado hopper then lifts up at, say, the end of several blocks, and in one swoop, dumps that into the garbage truck, only once after several blocks instead of every time going into the side or the top of the vehicle. So we looked at buying 3 garbage trucks, a supervisor's vehicle to supervise the operation. It would only take 1 individual to work these 2 trucks that would be out on the road to pick up the garbage. We also looked at buying 3,600 garbage containers that the mechanized vehicle could pick up with, this hydraulic arm and put into the hopper. This Corrado hopper also allows for the pickup of trash like, couches and chairs and things of that sort as well. In addition, John recommended that these 3 vehicles, one of which is a backup, of which would be rotated in and out of the service, have some sort of a garage or a facility so that they would not sit outside and rust and depreciate faster than would be necessary. So we included that cost of building this facility as well. All of this we then projected out to 2024 to see whether there would be a difference in cost as opposed to what our current garbage collection contract is. Currently, we will pay this year $300,500, and when we looked at all the different costs that were necessary for year 1, 2015, for in-house garbage collection, it came up to $553,834, or it would be more expensive by about $253,000. Now, well, both John and I know that other individuals and people can come up with other assumptions and look at this differently. We did not include recycling. We did not include the pickup of condominiums or apartments. You could argue as to how many hours somebody would be out on the road and have to pick up the garbage and then transport it to a landfill. So if you came up with a different set of assumptions, you could certainly come up with a different set of numbers. But in this particular scenario, this is the result that we came up with. John, at this point, if there are any other details that I may have missed or you want to talk about, please feel free to weigh in on the in-house option.
The borough have been phasing this truck in over the past 4 years, and they've set it up in different sections of town, just because of the cost of the pails and so forth. And then they had to purchase more trucks, and they've had great success in the program. One guy, one truck, versus one guy, three men. We could take it a step further, and you know, I started projecting out the apartments, which gets a little fuzzy, because whose contract, there's all different contracts and all different apartments, so it's quite a bit of work.
One thing we really haven't done is investigate a shared service option with Paramus that already has the equipment and the manpower.
Isn't Ordell doing
We
that
wrote,
now?
we wrote to them, we sent them our information, but we haven't received a response.
I believe Ordell just approached them.
Yeah, they're, you know, Paramus they have a huge facility and a lot of full-time mechanics and employees to keep their equipment operating, and they're looking to consolidate a lot of services.
They just
But
didn't show any interest.
Yeah.
They reported back.
All right, anything else for Mr. Lynch?
Well, there's some other topics that are of interest to him, so I'm sure he'll stick around for those, but that's it on the garbage option, unless the council has something
Should
else.
we just get it done now while he's here?
No, it's all right, I'll be here.
No, I see people from Grove Street, so we're going to have the Grove Street discussion, and we'll have Mr. Lynch and Mr. Costa, our engineer, here for that. All right. Next on the agenda is amendment to this River Edge tree ordinance. We have our shade tree representatives here. You want to come up?
I have a visual.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have our construction bond tree ordinance, and we discovered there's a little bit of a flaw in it with the size tree caliber that it falls under the ordinance. So we currently have a 4-inch diameter breast height listed, which means that a tree at diameter breast height, so 4 feet up. So on the picture, 4 feet up, the second picture, that's a measurement of a new tree in town that was planted last fall, and that only falls under 2 1/4 inch at diameter breast height. So on me, that actually comes up to my shoulders. So measuring at this, the tree has to be 4 inches to fall under our ordinance.
To be protected, right.
Yeah, and I have a ginkgo tree in front of my house. It's been there 12 years, and it just reached 4 inches this year. So we're missing a lot of trees, we discovered. We have about 21 bonds out right now, and it's going great. I mean, the construction people in town have been really great with it. The people who come back, they know the process. It's been really smooth, but we're missing trees that we're paying for. So we wanted to just come back to you and see if we can just adjust that, and I think the lawyer agreed that we could just...
I prepared an ordinance in accordance with there's really no legal definition of a tree. It's what you want it to be, and I provided alternative definitions for the mayor and council. I don't think it's disseminated, but it's really what the mayor and council decide. So what I did is I incorporated your definition into the ordinance for the time being to start the discussion.
Okay, and basically it's just to take out the diameter.
Yeah.
Just take it out completely, because that was old. It's like
That's not going to work.
It's an old system that really applied to wooded lots. That's where we took that from, and we don't have wooded lots that we're dealing with. We're dealing with street trees that are all valuable to the town. There's no like wee trees on the street. So I actually pulled parameters also, and they just have a general description of a tree. There's no size indicated at all, and that's what they use, because a tree on the street is an owned tree by the town that provides value, and we can set a value to that tree.
What's the difference between caliber and diameter?
So caliber is how we buy them. So we buy them at, our specs are for 2 1/4 inch. So this tree that we planted last year is 2 1/4 inch, and it's grown to 2 1/2 inch caliber. Caliber is 4 inches from the ground, and diameter breast height is 4 feet from the ground. But either way, we feel that a tree on the street is a tree on the street. It's not weedy. It's not something that we'd want to get rid of. We paid for it. We spent time planting it. It's a value to the town, so to set any kind of diameter or inches or height or anything just doesn't seem to make sense.
It seems like you answered your own question. If you buy them at 2 1/4 diameter,
Right.
then just put 2 1/4 diameter.
We're
and
wondering
give them
why
the
we have to
definition.
limit it if a tree on the street is something we purchased and it's a tree.
Here's why,
legally.
because if you don't have any definition in it,
Mhm.
then if an acorn falls to the ground and sprouts in the curb, it's a tree, and you can't pull it out. That's why. You got to have some definition. So if you purchase them at 2 inches, we want to protect all your shade trees.
Then let's do 1.5 inch
1.5 inches.
diameter just in case, just to be.
I mean, if we have to put something, I'd go lower.
Yeah, I would go lower also, just in case.
1.5 caliper?
1.5.
You want to go to, do you buy them any, do you
You
buy them?
could, if there's a specialty tree for some reason, I mean, looking to the future, I don't see that happening.
Do
but
you
if
always buy
can-
them more than 2 caliper?
We sometimes will give us 3-inch caliber.
Oh, I don't mean that, I mean as your minimum, 2.
Minimum is 2 1/4, but sometimes
Or go a little
residents-
lower.
Sometimes residents will plant their own tree, which is not allowed, but sometimes we miss it, and they're small. They're sometimes an inch caliber. That's very rare, but it happens, and, you know, we'd hate to miss out on getting any tree.
Yeah, I'd do small. I mean, if we have to define it, I would do 1.5 inches.
All right,
That would seem reasonable, I think. That would catch, yeah.
all right, we'll discuss it, and then we'll amend the ordinance accordingly. That's the only thing you want to amend is the definition section.
Jennifer had a question.
Yeah, you know what,
Discrepancy.
A little discrepancy just with the numbers. So I have it as 385-2
As the actual ordinance.
as the actual ordinance number, but when they were redoing it, they have it as 384-19. So I just want to make sure we're working with the same chapter numbers. Since we made so many changes, one of the copies the final copy that I had when we amended it for the trust, it was 385, and this one's saying 384.
Yeah, I saw 384.19. I'll take another look. 385 you have?
You know what, yeah, the last one that I had, everything's 385.
We have to pull it off the,
Yeah.
off the website.
It
Yeah,
says
the least-
384 on the
yeah.
website.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have
but I think the final
384.19.
one is 385,
When we did the ordinance.
when we did the
yeah.
ordinance.
Pulling it off the website was 384.
Yeah, so I think that one's old. I think it needs to be updated.
No, the one on the website's updated, but the number's
This is-
different for some reason. But if it's okay the way it is and it's set,
Yeah, but see, this is,
you want to show them?
you know, let me just show you. When we updated for the trust, this was just the last amendment, everything was, all the definitions were 385.
Yeah, there's 384 up here.
Well, that's right, but when you go down to all the like all the
Yeah, no,
chapters,
I'm just thinking whether that's a typo.
I mean, it could be a typo, but
Yeah.
it's consistent with the copy that I have.
We'll have to look through the
Okay.
ordinance, because on the website has 384, and I think the code book that I had also had 384, so
Okay,
we'll double check.
okay.
Okay. Anything else?
So is this something that will be discussed in the meeting tonight, or?
Yeah, because we have the original definition, and then somebody's going to make a motion to change the definition, and then it will be reintroduced in a formal motion, and then it will go through the ordinance process. You know, first reading, public hearing,
We'll say, okay,
all right?
Okay.
thank you.
I just had one question. We were discussing insurance claims
tonight. So we want to get if there's been trees taken down by cars. Do you have like a listing of those, like that are in accident reports? I'd say do you need a general number or a specific number?
What we're trying to do is we're trying to keep up on obtaining reimbursement for property damage to any borough property. Shade trees, signs that get knocked down, decorative lighting, those kind of park benches that get destroyed, bus stops that get damaged. So if the Shade Tree Commission I can identify any shade trees in the last few years that were run over or destroyed or knocked down, then there may be a corresponding police report indicating who the responsible party is, and then we can follow up with their insurance company.
We do that already.
Yeah.
But there are some that are hit and run that we don't know.
Yeah.
So those we don't have. I can look at those police reports and see. Do you have a timeline of when you want them for?
No. We're allowed to go back 6 years.
Okay, so I'll look and see. There are a few probably that have been hit and run. Yeah, okay. So anything that we were not reimbursed for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next is the traffic condition at Bogart Road and Marginal Road. There are, I think there's an agreement in principle. It may even be in writing to return the curb line to its original configuration. We don't have the plan yet, so we're waiting for the plan. So I just want to report on that. As soon as we have the plan, we'll go forward.
Good evening, Mayor. Council, good evening. Last week, you probably saw a flurry of emails back and forth. I know Alan was copied on them. I believe the council was, Mayor, you were, and I know Mr. Sarlo was. There was about 3 or 4 revisions. The last revision came in on Thursday. I wrote back to the engineer saying that we need this plan complete by tonight's hearing, or tonight's meeting, rather. I looked for him this afternoon, nowhere to be found. I called March Associates, the contractor. I contacted Arthur Neese later on this afternoon, who was going to reach out for their attorney. As of this evening, I have gotten nothing back. So there's no hard copy that came to my office. There was no email. Alan, I don't know if anything was dropped off in Borough Hall tonight. The agreement in principle is to put the curb actually back to the location it was prior to any of this. And after speaking to the county, my recommendation with Eric Timsack from the county was to then stripe that area differently, and I believe the council saw that striping plan. This way, at least it'll stay larger, where you can make vehicles turn the corner, yet try to put the traffic away from the intersection when you're coming, I guess that would be southerly on Bogart, in order to make the turn onto Marginal to go onto Route 4. How it got there, again, is another mystery. It's the planning board approved it like that, whether it came from the county, whether it came from the planning board engineer, whether it came from the traffic engineer that was hired by the planning board, whether it came from the traffic engineer hired by the applicant, remains a mystery. As far as the county is concerned, they don't care one way or another who did it, and they're on board if you do want to change this.
Okay. Yes.
Can I ask just a question? Once the plans are in place, how long is this going to take to correct?
March, we had a meeting 2 weeks ago where this is hinged to a temporary CO for the Total Wine store. There was an attorney letter that was drafted that was attached to the temporary certificate of occupancy, and they have to perform in that time frame, otherwise you can pull their CO technically. I mean, I don't want to get it to that, and certainly I don't think Total Wine wants to get there, or the Ciancias. And right now, it seems like the only thing holding it up are their professionals. Originally, my office was going to do it, submit it back to the council, and say, okay, this is what we're doing since it is a public street. Then it was decided by the attorneys to have their professionals submit to the town. But again, if this goes on much longer, I think then we take control and say that's it.
I guess I'm
Mayor? I guess I'm confused. They're going back to existing conditions. What plan do they need? They have the existing condition plan. They know where the original curb was. It's still there.
But you're going to have a different striping plan. So
But that's just for the island, yes, but
Change-
the way on the striping plan?
Well, originally, there was a
It was an island, yes.
concrete
But
island
now
there.
they're not going to put a concrete island, they're
We
going
are
to do a
not.
stripe island. But,
We're going
and they may have to go back.
to stripe a larger section of the road.
So that's what's holding them up, is striping plan for...
It's, I mean, back and forth.
You should have seen the emails.
It's frustrating beyond. Gary Anderson from Jack Dest Associates, he was involved, back and forth with him. I finally contacted him on the phone. I said, could you please do something? Ultimately, again, if the council says tonight, handle it, tomorrow morning I will handle it. And it'll be striped, this will be ripped out, and before the end of the week, I will make sure this gets done. But this is the way it was set up, again, with Arthur Neese, Mr. Solo, I don't know if you were involved in this, Tim Corriston was involved, and again, it was a little back and forth. We probably had about 20 people that day there, and originally, the Ciancio said, this is how it's approved, and we're not doing anything, and we're not paying for it. So it went from that point to, we agreed to pay for this change, just give us the change you want. And that's where we are today. So, I mean, but again, it's the will of the council. If you want me to take control tomorrow...
Could you do that and then send them the bill?
Well, when you say send, I mean, certainly. Certainly.
Well,
Doesn't that seem quicker?
Ellen,
I hear all that you're saying, and I appreciate all the work that's being done to correct this, but we have a letter from the Chief Caridi saying that this is a serious safety issue that could result in a head-on collision. So, you know, they need to respond. We need
There's
to get
no
this
question.
done.
It's a serious condition. We've put them on notice that it is. And as of today, and again, my position is we have not accepted that improvement. So even though it was a planning board decision and it was approved by the planning board, we have not accepted the improvement. So I think there's enough notice on our behalf to them to at least protect us, and we're doing everything in our power. But again, you have to give them some time that's reasonable. At a certain point, once that stops, then I think we have to come in and do something.
They quickly got that thing up. That didn't take them that long to fabricate that thing that they made. That
The bump
created
out,
this
the bump out.
That was pretty quick. Should be just as quick to take it down.
Physically, it can be done very quickly. The problem is, we can't seem to get the plan out of their professionals. And again, this wasn't my decision. This was a decision made by other people to have their professionals submit to us.
We can't wait for someone to, like, get in a car crash, for, you know.
There's ways for us to implement the striping, so they need to do the work.
They need to remove the curb. They need
Yes.
to remove, there's also electric that's been in place. There's live electric that's in place there. So there's a little more than just ripping out a curb and shoving it over.
I mean,
Yes.
right now, Mr. Costa, as I was coming from my office to Borough Hall, they have the sidewalk, you know, they have a portion of the sidewalk completed,
Correct.
then they have a couple of missing slabs.
Correct.
Then the sidewalk starts again.
Correct.
There's a missing slab, sidewalk starts again. And they have that all blocked off with the orange fence. And pedestrians are walking in the street by the cones.
There's no question, the work is not complete. It's dangerous there. They're on notice. And it's up to, if the will of the council is for me to take charge tomorrow morning, I will certainly do so. And that's what I said 2 weeks ago. We gave Total Wine a temporary CO.
Right.
Whether that should have been done or shouldn't have been done, it was done. And again, that's tied to a very limited time frame to get that work completed.
When does that expire?
90 days.
Yeah, I think it was 90 days, but there were certain milestones that they had to hit prior to that.
90 days. Anyway, I would like council's concurrence for you to tell the developer that he has to have a temporary sidewalk, in there tomorrow.
I could do that. I don't know if certainly if you want a resolution that way, that's fine, but I'll
Because
certainly take care of that tomorrow.
There's
I'll call him the minute I leave this meeting tonight.
There's
and say this has
pedestrians
to be
walking
done.
in the street because the sidewalk is blocked off by this orange plastic
You're
fence.
saying they're not being responsive, though. You can't get the plans from them.
No, we had the plan. I saw a plan.
Uh-huh.
It didn't have enough striping, it had a tiny little bit of striping. Mr. Costa suggested an alternative striping so that you would still keep cars
Away from the intersection.
away from the intersection so that they had more time to turn left and
Which I think achieves
Yeah.
the purpose.
and that was last week.
It was last week.
Yeah.
From that point, there were at least 3 or 4 plans that were emailed to everyone.
How
And
much
each one got a
longer?
little bit more, but it never got
How
there.
much longer are we going to give them before we say,
Well, it was supposed to be tonight. They didn't deliver tonight, that's
Say
it. Tomorrow
late.
morning,
now, he
All
can
right.
do it, and
So handle
Bill
it.
them?
I'll handle it tomorrow morning. I will call him tonight, and I will handle it tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
Ed?
One more step after this. Now, granted, what they did was not a good solution, but going back to the old way isn't good either, because we know there was problems with that intersection from the get-go, and we met with the county on that. This gives them the opportunity now to go back to the drawing board and relook at that intersection, because we know there's a lot of problems with that intersection in general, and I think we need to get back on them. And in tandem with that, the county had also promised that they would also put a left turn arrow at that traffic signal at
That is
Kindergarten.
correct.
So I'd like you to bring that up with Mr.
Why don't we...
Femia.
What I could do is I'll send Mr. Femier an email tomorrow morning. I think the best thing, because it seems like you get more accomplished when you go there, set up a meeting. Alan will set up a meeting, go again, sit down with them. But you'll have to invite the DOT in because
Well,
Margin
yes, they were
yeah,
part of the
Margin
original
was the-
meeting with it too, so at least now
Yeah.
we have an impetus now. You did this didn't work, now let's
Right.
come up with something that does work.
Okay. All right, I'll do those 2 things tomorrow morning.
Okay.
thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
think another issue involving Mr. Costa is
Mayor, on the consent agenda, the micro
resurfacing.
I'd like to know if you have a recommendation to go forward with the state contract on the micro resurfacing as opposed to the Riverside Cooperative. The emails that were exchanged, it was said that the state contract is 5% lower than the Riverside Cooperative.
The state contract is in tons.
Yeah, I went on the website, the state website. First I went on to Asphalt Systems, then I went onto the state website, and I'm trying to compare
Apples to oranges. and
the
you
state
cannot.
contract prices with the bid specs, and I couldn't figure it out.
Basically, when you add in those numbers and convert it back from tons to square yards, the state contract is roughly 5% less. But in the state contract, you don't have all the items that you actually need to do the work. So that's the problem. The question becomes, I don't know what the mayor of Haworth is going to do with the master contract.
Yeah, but here's my problem. That state contract runs out
Expires.
July 1st.
Correct.
So if we are going to take advantage of it, tonight, we need to pass a resolution to do that, or we could have a special meeting before July 1st to award a contract under the state contract. So we need to know which way to go.
It's 5% cheaper with the actual microsurfacing, but you have to remove the stripes. Let's stick with Continental. Continental, you have all of the markings. You have the stripes, the crosswalks, the school markings. They have to be removed and put back in place. That street has a lot of potholes and everything on it. All of that has to be fixed, and possibly you're going to have some inlets and stuff that might have to be fixed accordingly. That's not in the state contract. That means we have to bring in another contractor to do that work. That would mean we'd have to get either 3 bids or put that out to bid. I don't know how you would do all of that and still meet the time frame of July 1st, and then you run the risk where something goes wrong, and now you have finger pointing everywhere.
But you're saving 5%, from the same company, right? From the state contract. From what I read, it's a 5% discount.
Give or take, it's 5%.
That's what it
yes.
said in the paper.
So if you have $100,000, we're talking about $5,000. Mr. Sarlo will burn that up on the first deposition.
I think you would burn it up quicker. But can't you take advantage of that and then proceed with everything else?
We can. I mean,
If you take advantage of that, you can't go to Asphalt Systems and say, charge us the state contract for these three things, but how much are you going to charge us for the other things that are not on the state contract?
That's the problem.
You're going to get caught in the tail end.
You can't do
Like,
that.
It just doesn't make sense.
You would have to give those 5 other little items, the striping and everything, to another party.
But what if, couldn't that be done maybe in-house?
No, I asked that question. Good question. I asked the same question.
We don't do that.
When's that
No.
hot box coming?
Different issue, different issue.
Yeah, no, the striping is actually thermoplastic that goes down.
I think we should just award the Riverside
I
bid.
agree, Mayor.
Mayor, Resolution 266 has been listed tonight, so if that's your desire, you would table 266 for the state award, and we will wait for the Riverside
Then you have
to
to
be
wait for
awarded, and then go with that.
Which is probably going to be a month, because they didn't do it at the other meeting last week.
266.
266, it was added as a part of the revised agenda.
Okay.
So that's retabled.
All right.
I have a question for Alan.
Yes, Ed.
When we did the budget, refresh my memory, did we allocate 400,000 for regular paving and 100 for micro, or was it 300 and 100?
300 for the regular and 100 for the micro.
Okay, so we got the bids in for the Riverside Cooperative for the regular road paving, it's 261. Correct? That's what we're...
And the micro resurfacing.
Yeah, no, but what I'm thinking is that we actually have about $30,000 more in our budget. And like Mr. Costa said, defer to John, but since we were doing part of Fifth from Continental South, we thought we were getting through on Voorhees. If we had another 30,000, maybe we could pick up a couple more blocks, and I know we're looking at doing the state grant coming the other way, so maybe we'll be able to get to the middle.
Going to be close. You're gonna be close if you do that.
I would make a suggestion that we do that.
All right. Sounds reasonable.
Yes.
Okay. The rest of the consent agenda, with the exception of number 4, which we are tabling. Can I have a motion to approve that?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Next is, well, I have a very, very short report that I attended I'll only give this portion of the report. We have received a $15,000 donation from the Yeshiva of Northern New Jersey that I would like to publicly acknowledge to the River Edge Community Center Trust Fund. We've received another generous $10,000 donation from Total Wine & More, again payable to the River Edge Community Center Trust Fund. Those funds are going to be used for the eventual, well, we'll do that during the public portion of the meeting, the 8 o'clock meeting. All right, that's all I have. Next is the status of the park, the entrance signs, the borough entrance signs. Alan?
Mayor, I'll be quick with this. We were charged with looking at 4 locations for the entrance signs, the Cherry Blossom Park, River Edge Road, the Kinderkamack, River Edge, Hackensack border, and Route 4 off of the Marginal Road. The triangular piece on Route 4 happens to be a state piece of property, and I've been in touch with an engineer at DOT, but there's been no response through several emails, so I don't have an answer on whether we have permission to put a sign on that triangular piece coming off of Route 4 onto Marginal Road. The 2 locations that involve New Jersey Transit, River Edge Road and the River Edge Hackensack border, we spoke with their representative, and he indicated that their property division would need $300 per sign per year in order to put those signs at that location. So tonight, I would recommend that first we go ahead with the single post sign at the Cherry Blossom Park. That's been vetted through the Recreation Commission. They're okay with that. That we switch to a single post sign for the River Edge Road. We have a tree that came down right next to the Shade Tree Commission building, and we propose putting the entrance sign, the single post, in that location
John will reconstruct the curb that's there and put some fill in. That's on our property, not New Jersey Transit property. And at the border of Hackensack and River Edge, we would propose a single post sign and try and put that between the curb and the sidewalk, as opposed to the point of the triangular piece of property that New Jersey Transit owns adjacent to their parking lot. That particular location has some problems with it. John tells me he's not sure whether the mirrors on the DPW trucks will hit it when we snow plow, or whether the snow plowing itself with all the salt will really do damage to that sign. But if you want to go ahead and you feel strongly about doing an entrance sign there, we could certainly try to put one up at that location. So tonight, I would recommend that we go ahead with these three, and that we see where we get with the state for the fourth location, and come back and make that a separate order at another time.
For the fourth location, all we really need is Virginia Quarterwig's permission, and we could do it.
I would defer to the borough attorney on that one.
She's the one who plants all the flowers.
Can I just ask a quick question about that fourth one? Are we going to have an issue with sight lines and people being able to see? Is that sign going to interfere with any?
We could set it properly back,
All
I
right.
think, so Mr. Costa would be able to...
I've been asked that question by
I think
several
that can be
people.
accommodated.
Just let's keep that in mind.
I always envisioned that fourth one on that little triangle to be, very low to the ground.
Yes, but a wider sign.
Wider sign, low to the ground.
That is the gateway into the town. You want something that's going to look nice there.
No problem, Jeremy.
Like Memorial Park.
Yeah,
Yes.
like Memorial Park.
All right, so can I have a motion for the entrance signs for River Edge Road, Cherry Blossom Park, and Kinder Kamek by the New Bridge train
So moved.
station?
Second.
There's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mayor. All right, next we have this unfinished business. Is there any, I don't think we have any update on the review of the historic element. Mayor, we have the planner's proposal on for tonight, so once that's awarded, they can move ahead with the planner's analysis as well as the legal analysis. Okay, very good. Next we have Grove Street. I know that cleanup started on Grove Street. There is the striping, has some striping been put down?
Yes, temporary strike.
Okay. How many spots are striped?
It's 12,
12 spots. All right. At this time, because we have Grove Street people in the audience, I'd like a motion to open to the public.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're open to the public. If any member of the public wishes to speak regarding Grove Street, they can come up, identify themselves, give us their name.
My name is Chris Harley. I'm a tenant on 809 Park Ave.
Chris?
So, right, Harley, H-A-R-L-E-Y.
H-A-R-L-E-Y. And what was the address?
809 Park Ave.
809 Park,
It's right
okay.
on the corner of...
Greg?
I'm Lisa Tenor, T-O-U-R-N-O-U-R, Glantz, G-L-A-N-S. I'm at 33 Grove Street.
Okay. We spoke.
We spoke. I'm not happy. I'm here to voice my extreme frustration at the current plans that are underway that seem to be completely revamping my street without any notification given to myself or my neighbors. Kind of want to know why we were not notified of these plans, these very radical plans, and I only happened to find out as I spoke with you on the phone. I happened to be working from home that day. I work out in Warren, New Jersey. My commute's over 2 hours a day, and I'm fortunate enough to be able to work from home 1 day a week, and fortunately I was home the day when I was completely astounded by the sound of a bulldozer outside of my window. I ran out to approach the DPW worker, I believe this gentleman over here, who said, "Didn't you get the notice?" And that his reply just completely floored and stunned me. I grabbed my other neighbor who lives down the street. We ran over to the Borough Hall, and I saw these plans of what's underway,
from my street, which I had absolutely no knowledge of prior to seeing these plans, and was completely in shock.
Can't hear?
I'm sorry, shall I
Can you
speak
move
up?
the mic closer?
Is it on?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not used to public speaking, and this is very difficult for me, but I'm, you know that my back is up when I'm willing to sit in front of a panel of strangers and do this. Basically just stunned at these developments and stunned that we weren't alerted, stunned to find out that this what I thought the area was designated to be for commuter overflow parking. It comes to find out that it's actually somehow there was an amendment to the ordinance where it's now allotted for business employee workers to use for parking. Is that true? Never received notification that this happened. Really surprised that the town is operating under, where residents are kept in such darkness about proceedings of this nature. This is just astounding to me. I can't imagine residents who live on Summit Avenue would have to deal with something like that. I don't even think you guys would even be able to get away with that with residents. I don't know whether you think because this is a dead-end street or something that we don't need to know.
Ma'am, can I address your notification from the
Please,
legal perspective, not to cut you off, but we'll
No, I
try and break
appreciate
it down.
that, because I don't have a lawyer,
No,
and
no, it's
I don't
okay.
understand. I guess I should become a lawyer.
From a legal perspective, there was no notification that was required to any of the residents in the area. What's proposed and what's being put there is a permitted use. So there's the change of use, or what's permitted is permitted there. The parking lot's permitted. So therefore, there's no notification that was required under the law. There's no site plan approval that the town needed. There's no approval that the town needed to go in front of the planning board for. There was no notification to any of the 200-foot residents. But I've been on as the borough attorney now for a year and a half, and one of my first assignments was to negotiate that easement between the property owner back in January of last year. And Grove Street has been on the agenda just about every meeting. So there has been notification with publication of the agenda, and River Edge also puts the council meetings on the website, which not many do. So it has been an open and transparent process. There has been some people talking.
But I'm a full-time worker. I work more than 45 hours a week, commuting, trying to take care of two sons, back-to-back at Riverdale High School, about ready to go to college, and I don't have the time to keep up with, and I didn't realize I had to defend the property where I live. I mean, I thought it's the responsibility of this town to notify. Do things just happen, of fate, of bona, whatever the expression is?
You're asking if a notification was required. I'm saying from a legal perspective, no notification was required. I think every time that this borough did a project that did not require notification, but they said we're going to do notification.
For the situation on Park Avenue recently.
That was the difference, because it was a change of use.
But this
and it was
is a
required.
change of use. This
it
used
wasn't.
to be for commuter overflow parking. You're changing it now to open it up to it. This is becoming commercial property as far as I'm concerned, and it's butt up right against my driveway.
I understand, but I'm going to give you the answer to that. In Park Place it's a change of use. They were changing the ordinance, and they were changing what was a permitted use. That required notification under the law. This did not require any notification under the law. So when you ask was notification required, and when the mayor and council asked me, do we need to notify the residents, I said, no, you do not need to notify the residents. So I'll take it upon me, but I told them you don't need to notify the residents, because legally you don't.
Imagine if this was your street, though, sir. I mean, all of you people, imagine if this was your street, and the only way that you know something's happening is because you happen to hear a bulldozer and see all this activity going on without any notification. I mean, it's shocking. And then to see plans that you have to go to the Borough Hall yourself to retrieve, and have this, there's virtually a parking lot that's being created. I know I'm speaking not just for myself, but for my neighbors. We've all met together, very concerned about whether floodlights are going to be put here, very concerned about our street being truncated, and how we're supposed to move our cars in and out of our driveways, very concerned about snow plows in the winter, how they're supposed to make a turn on our street, very concerned about the property value to our homes with now having this gigantic parking lot. the existing area right now for commuter overflow parking could probably hold about 5 or 6 cars. That's the most I've ever seen up there. What this proposes right now is for 19 cars. That's a very substantial difference. That's very substantial to me. It's not acceptable. It's not acceptable to have a metal barrier. Here's a residential street, and now the whole other half of it is going to become a parking lot? Are you kidding me? Chris, do you want to say something?
I think you touched on a concern about truncating the lot with the stop bar
Yeah.
that was on the plans. That, I feel like, and I feel like I also speak for the other residents on the street, would only cause more inconvenience for us as far as driving around. I park on the corner by 809 Park, and when I come home at night, I go up the street, make the K-turn up there, so I don't have to pull into my neighbor's driveways.
We're always parked. There's always cars parked between. I have 2 sons that are about driving. You've got about 4 or 5 cars in your family.
Right.
Dave down the street's got 2 sons coming up soon. I mean, we all have cars, and there's just no room for parking as it is. And just coming out of my driveway, I don't even know how I'm going to make that turn to do a 3-point turn out of my driveway without hitting your barrier. Because it's from what I can tell, and I'm not a professional plan reader person, but from what I can see, it looks like this is like butt up exactly to my driveway. This barrier, there's absolutely no room to maneuver. I don't even know how a snowplow, as I said, would be able to come down this half of the street, which is now going to be radically divided between a residential street and a parking lot, basically.
The first floor of the building that I live in has 2 cars. Second floor has 2 cars. I have a car. 30 Grove Street has 3 or 4 cars.
We have 2 cars with one on the way, with the driver on the way.
It's just to cut off the street where it's planned as the stop bar.
And the other thing that I'm concerned about is the concrete slab that's further up. It looks like that's meant to be removed. It's my understanding that this used to be the concrete slabs that you're apparently not touching at the moment, the first half of the concrete slabs, that these slabs used to be where a parking or a garage where maintenance was done on diesel trucks years ago. So I'm concerned about the environmental soil samples being done if you are going to start ripping up some of the concrete slabs that are existing slabs that have been there for years, dormant, and now being removed. Is anyone planning on doing any environmental studies before you remove the slabs of concrete up there?
Possible oil tanks.
And the possible oil tanks that could be underneath there?
Well, nothing's been brought to my attention that we have any underground storage tanks there. If we find any, then we will remediate it the way it should be remediated. I explained to you the history that I know about this property, because it looks like Grove Street continues all the way to the retaining wall, but actually Grove Street doesn't. Grove Street stops right at your property line, and the rest of that property is borough-owned property that was the former site of the DPW. And over the years, we've had many, many proposals, from a police shooting range to a street-level parking lot.
I know, I've been at other hearings where you proposed to have the DPW trucks.
And the DPW containers there. So what we're trying to do is to accommodate some of the parking shortage we have up on Kinderkamak Road by improving the existing Grove Street property, cleaning it up, doing some striping, selling permits so that residents and business employees and shoppers can use that area.
So the shoppers are also going to be having access, so this is like a public parking area?
If we're doing this in phases. Right now, we're doing 12 spots that are going to be permitted. There'll be signs up. If the spots don't get sold, to residents. If you have an extra car and you want to...
I'm sorry, but I just want to say, I don't see any residents using those parking spots now. There barely, maybe 2 or 3 cars are parked there ever at a given time. So I don't know what makes you think that all of a sudden people are going to go running out to buy these permits all of a sudden.
Well, we have requests from the business owners up on Kinderkamek Road for parking for their...
Is that for one business owner or for several?
We had a meeting here where we had, I don't know, how many business owners? We had the jewelry store, we had the Delfer Florist, we had the Pizza Kitchen, we had the liquor store.
The hair place.
We had the hair place. We had 7 or 8 business owners here pleading with us to provide them some parking relief. This is the plan that we came up with. We're in phase 1 now. If the 12 spots if the permits are not issued, and we're not going any further. If the 12 permits for these spots are issued, then we'll take another look at that property with giving you a voice and a seat at the table, because now you're aware of it. And if we're going to do further improvements like removing the concrete slabs, putting in a buffer area, dealing with...
So the buffer area, from what I can glean from this, it looks like it's just a metal stop bar. Can we...
This is just phase 1.
There's no metal stop bar. I think it's just a stop bar on the ground, right?
What is a stop bar exactly?
When you go to a stop sign, the white line on the street.
So there's not going to be anything to
There's no
prevent
physical
people.
barrier, no.
So the people who park on this street, these new, and I see 19, I keep hearing 12, but I see 19 on the plan.
There's 19 shown on the plan, but they're only constructing 12 that are actually on the property. They're showing some down that we own that strip of property that goes from behind Grove Street on to Lincoln.
Right.
Those are not part of this plan at this point. And to be honest, I don't ever see that really developing over there. I don't think that's a good idea. That's my own opinion. But we're going forward with the 12, like the mayor said. There were 5 or 6 there now, going to the 12 to see whether we can get some employee parking down there. So they would be long-term parkers. I don't want to see a situation where people are pulling in and out all day long anyway. So they were able to take those spaces and then free up some space on Kinderkamek for business users, whatever.
I don't understand, though. You have the whole back end. There's this big empty spot at the very end of our Grove Street, at the very end of the street where there's a pile of rocks that the town has dumped there, and this huge eroded area that looks like it's where there's some existing parking lot that's between the liquor store and what's the other nail salon. Why aren't these businesses utilizing that land? Why aren't they building out and paying for these improvements if they want more parking?
That's borough-owned property.
So why can't you build there? Why not build out?
Because it's going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's why.
But that's just like
we don't want to raise your
wasted land.
taxes.
It's a big...
We want to do something that is inexpensive, that is not a change in use, that we can do in-house with our DPW and our borough engineer, and we could provide some relief for the parking situation while maintaining the quality of the neighborhood.
It seems to me, though, that there's really just this one business owner who happens to have 18 employees that's really pushing for this, because this hasn't been a problem until he's come to town, I think, and put in his business.
I can only tell you that you can go back
I can't get why the town would bend into a pretzel for this one business owner.
I can only tell you that you can go back and watch the videotape of all of the store owners coming in mass, sending us letters and a petition to provide them with parking for...
Well, I've heard from the other business folks, in fact, the pizza people and the other people who I've spoken to, and they're saying, and even my neighbors on the side of me, that it's the employees who are parking and taking the spots away from the customers, because he has a lot of employees at his business.
Yep.
And there's some other issues about the odor coming from that business. But
All right, I have to give other people a chance to speak because we're already into our 8 o'clock meeting. Thank you. All right, we can continue this discussion into the 8 o'clock meeting, which I suggest that we do. Would anyone else like to be heard now before we begin the 8 o'clock meeting? Yes.
Hello.
My name is Peg Sorrentino. I'm at 39 Washington Avenue. The back of my property actually abuts the easement, I think, that the borough has gotten from Mr. Grasso.
Right.
First, I want to say thank you for the time and effort you put into the issues that we have on hand. We appreciate your time. I was a business owner in River Edge, closer to Midland Avenue. Parking was definitely an issue, so I do sympathize with the business owners. There used to be, however, they're mom and pop shops, most of them, okay? And I think what Lisa was alluding to with regard to maybe one business who's luckily tripled his business or tripled the number of employees that he has is what's pushed the other business owners who are mom and pop shops to, you know, at their wits' end to do it. Now, those buildings are old, I understand that. Any new business that might come into town, like the lawyer, Mr. Schneider, I think it might be. I remember that when he purchased that building, it used to be that old Irish import place. When he purchased that building, it was required of him to provide for his building a certain number of spots. It was a requirement. I think a lot of the small businesses now there do have that. Delford Flour from Mr. Bernard, when he built that building, he put a parking lot in the back. The upholstery store is there, and I think they have access to some parking. The next building, if you look in that back lot, that's a total disaster. So the next time, Mr. Mayor, you want to walk back in that area, maybe you should check back in there and see what kind of crap is back there, because that is disgusting.
I already did, and I already sent the code enforcement guy over there.
Well, thank you.
And he's already sent a letter to the owner.
Thank you. Did you do that for the entire abutting properties, and did you happen to look at any of the other dirt that's around back there?
I looked at the property that looked to me, in my layman's eyes, to be most egregious.
How many were there?
There was one.
Only that one?
That's the only one I saw.
Okay. So, I mean, my point being that those businesses, I mean, they do have available parking, you know, in the back there, forgetting about the little patch that is the borough-owned property there. And as you move down, other ones do too. Now, the easement coming in from Lincoln Avenue, one of those businesses used to own that strip of land, right? And my assumption is...
You're a good historian.
Hey, I've been here for 30 years. You know, I try to be neighborly, and like I said, I was a businesswoman in town, and I sympathize with it all. But, and I understand you guys are under pressure to provide some relief to them. Business is important to the community. You can't park on Kindrick Road. I understand that. But I don't know how it became where maybe the guy that has the 18 or 22 employees came to not have any parking. It used to be printing in there, I think, or something like that. And it was smaller. Again, there were mom and pop shops there, but now you have someone who's outgrown the space, I mean, and, you know, to put parking in for 18 or 19 cars, it does look like, I mean, wouldn't you think, doesn't it look like there's one person driving it? If every other little store has their little parking lots, is it one person that's pushing the borough to take a look at their empty property? And I know that has to be developed. I've looked at it. When I moved in there were empty, abandoned, disgusting garages. They were knocked down, but I'll tell you one other thing. Nothing else was ever done back there. It was never cleaned up. And when you say that cleanup has begun on Grove Street, because the boulders were moved, is that being cleaned, or the rocks being away? So it's kind of like you're just slapping on some things now and saying, okay guys, come on down, you can park, we got parking for you, and the problem is solved. It alleviates a lot of, you know, what's going on, but it doesn't solve it. And I don't want to say that it's at my expense. It's not at my expense. I mean, I have a big lengthy yard to go through before I look at that. But, you know, will it be patrolled? Will it be cleaned? Will there be lights back there? Will it be safe back there? I mean, there are a whole bunch of other issues and questions, I think, that we have that we're wondering what, you know, if you've thought of them, are you thinking of them, will you address them? Will you give us an opportunity to sit with you outside of a meeting, just to talk about issues like that. Would you?
Absolutely.
So we can set up something to talk one-on-one. I mean, I know you give your time now as it is.
I think the best thing is to wait and see if there's any demand for these 12 spots. If there is, and they all get filled up with people that want to buy the permits.
Well, I can tell you this. I live on Washington Avenue. After that 11 o'clock whistle goes off when it's free-for-all, I can't park in front of my own house. I can't even sometimes turn into my driveway because the cars, like, they pack. So they're going to fill. Somebody's got to fill them. And if they don't, then they're all liars up there. They don't have a problem.
But you're talking about wanting to be involved in the process. So what I'm saying is that if these 12 spots get permitted, and the borough wants to take the next step and do something with the concrete pads or that easement to Lincoln Avenue, that's when we need you and your input on any further improvements. On lighting, no lighting, restricting access during...
Well, will we be notified in writing, or do we have to monitor that ourselves?
No, you've made your...
Grove Street has been round for years. You know that. You know what I mean? We've always had the courtesy of being notified up front. This is why I think we're all in arms about, what are you doing? And you guys don't want to go over this again and again and again. I mean...
No. No, if we take any further action towards this plan for the rest of these 19 spaces, then we will, I'll have Alan or I'll have the borough attorney send out notices to everybody within 200-foot range.
That would be great. We would appreciate that. So your plans now are, you said clean it up.
We don't have to, but we will.
I appreciate it. Thank you. So your plans now are, you've cleared away the boulders. I guess you have to clear ingress from Lincoln. Okay. Which, by the way, why wouldn't they just be able to have parallel parking right on that instead of...
The plan shows parallel parking on Lincoln.
It does.
But
and
if we want
spots in the back.
In my opinion, we want your opinion. In my opinion, if we're going to enlarge the parking over there, then we should really close off Grove Street so there's not cars driving up and down Grove Street to get into the park.
Also, repeat back there. Also,
if you want entrance and exit from that easement on Lincoln,
you can't do
you can't have parallel parking. It would have to stay totally open.
Right.
Because you need two directions.
Okay.
So that's that's something that we need input on.
So what else is being cleaned up now? This first phase of your plan, because tonight there was a resolution to approve the sketch, but evidently the spaces are down, so the sketch has already been approved, right?
Tonight we're approving those 12 spaces.
That you've already painted before you approved them?
No, we approved the plan a long time ago.
Oh, you did? Okay. So will
now that they're in, now that the 12 spots are in, we're accepting them tonight.
Okay, and so, in other words, you'll open up to whoever wants to buy the permits?
We have to put up some signs, right? We have to put up some signs. A little more grading. The signs are going to say restricted for whatever.
Grading of the street, you mean, where the concrete slabs are, in order for cars to get through there, need to be taken away?
Not yet.
That's how they're going to get in?
The existing old building to the street area. It has to be graded stone, 5-foot area, and it has to be paved.
A little 5-foot strip.
Okay, and then everything goes up for bids? Whoever wants to buy it can buy?
Yeah.
And there's no limit on the number that you'll allow purchase.
No,
anyone can purchase.
People just walk up to the counter and say, I'd like to buy.
And then it's first come, first served, right?
There's no bid.
So a customer, if they chose to park down there for the store, if the store owner said park down there, they have to have a sticker too. They'd have to purchase.
For those 12 spots.
For those 12 spots, right. And hopefully you're saying that that'll clear up things on Kinderkamak. Because if there's not any clear up on Kinderkamak and customers, who's going to go down? All right, that's another story.
We go, with all due respect, we go to public.
We have to go to public meeting.
I understand. Who can I talk to get a private meeting?
You could talk to the borough administrator, you could talk to the clerk, you can call me at my office.
Okay. You won't walk away from me, right?
No.
Okay.
I'm a busy guy, I got a lot of things I gotta do.
All right. Mr. Negrin, can I call your office to...
Yes, we'll be happy to set up an appointment.
Okay.
All
Thank
right,
you.
Thank you, Ms. Sorrentino.
Thanks for your time.
Yep. All right, let's go into the, I'd like to close the record to the public.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, good. Now let's open the 8 o'clock meeting by please standing for a moment of prayer or silent reflection. If we could have Mr. Sarlo lead us in a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Madam Clerk, can I have a roll call?
Councilwoman Murphy?
Here.
Councilman Paula?
Here.
Councilwoman Steve?
Here.
Councilman Mignon?
Here.
Councilman Alfredo?
Present.
Councilman Papaleo? Absent. Let the record reflect that Mayor Mastroianni and Thomas Sarlo, Borough Attorney present.
All right, the Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with this law, the mayor and council of River Edge have caused notice of this meeting to be published by having a date, time, and place posted in the Borough Hall, and notices were sent to the Record and the Ridgewood News. The mission of this governing body is to provide essential services through the establishment and implementation of public policy, to safeguard our infrastructure, providing honest, courteous, and professional services, establishing a sense of trust and accomplishment with our residents. We do this through research and prudent planning, seeking to minimize public liabilities and improving municipal services. We are sensitive to the needs of our taxpayers, while realizing that this governing body cannot be all things to all people due to revenue constraints that are imposed by state mandates and present economic conditions and prevailing attitudes about taxation. We are on the record both by video and audio. If during the public portion of the meeting, a member of the public wishes to be heard, they need only identify themselves and they'll be given an opportunity to speak or ask a question. There are 3 exits in council chambers, 2 to the front and 1 to the rear. Can I please have a motion to approve the minutes of the mayor and council for the regular meeting of June 2nd, 2014?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the mayor and council for the work session meeting of May 5th, 2014?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have a certificate of recognition this evening for a River Edge Public Library volunteer, Mr. Gurian. Is Mr. Gurian present? There you go. Come on up, Mr. Gurian. How are you? Now, tell me, Mr. Gurian, how long have you been a resident?
I'm a resident of probably close to 40 years.
And during that time, you've done a significant amount of work with the public library?
Yes, I'm still doing teaching at Farm Warner, who want to learn English.
English as a second language?
Second language.
And what is the Project Literacy? Is that part of the...
It's part of the county program to introduce people who come to the United States for the first time and how they can cope with living in this part of New Jersey.
And I guess you find it very rewarding since you've been doing it for more than 20 years.
I have been, yes. It's rewarding and it's encouraging to see them, and it's been fine that you can answer some of their questions. How do you get Social Security? How do you apply for any licenses? Where do you go to do something? How do you get a credit card? Very basic and simple things that we take for granted.
Well, the mayor and council certainly appreciate all of your volunteer efforts, and I know that our library director is here, and our library board of trustees are here, and many residents of the library. So on behalf of the borough, I'd like to present you a certificate of recognition that certifies that Stanley Berrigan is hereby awarded this certificate in recognition for his 20-plus years of voluntary work with the ESL and Project Literacy at the River Edge Public Library. Congratulations. Thank you. Swearing in, right? Police reserves. Is Mr. Estevez here? All right, come on up, Mr. Estevez. Oh, I do this all the time. Where is it on the agenda? Second page? Up the top. Now, let me take this a little bit out of order. Can I please have a motion to appoint Brian Estevez as a police reserve effective June 17, 2014.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Very good. All right, now, Mr. Estevez. Do you have any members of your family here?
Yes, I do.
Who do you have?
My mother's here.
Bring your mom up. How are you? Can you hold the Bible for your son? Please stand up. Please place your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand, and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Brian Estevez,
Do solemnly swear I will support
the
Constitution of the United States,
Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of New Jersey.
the Constitution of the State of New Jersey.
I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the government established in the United States and in this state under the authority of the people. And I state your name.
And I, Brian Estevez,
Do solemnly swear I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all of the duties as a member of the River Edge Police Reserve
as River Edge Police Reserve,
to the best of my ability. So help me God.
So help me God. Congratulations.
All right.
You guys want to come up with me?
Yes, I will.
No. We could do that in the next meeting because we were already running a short on time, and I didn't see any problem. Okay, we'll talk about it. I want him to more management just because it's so critical that we stay within the 90 days. I mean, even though I'm familiar with but still,
All right. Getting back to the agenda. I'd like to open the meeting to the public just on any issue that's currently on our agenda today.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, would anyone like to speak or make a statement on any particular item that is listed on our agendas this evening? I will later on open to the public again to speak on any issue at all. But if anyone has an item that wants to discuss on our agenda, then you can speak, then we'll let you speak now.
Our trees on the agenda.
Our trees on the agenda. They were on our work session.
Okay, but they're not on here.
Well, no, but we'll give you an opportunity to address it in a little while.
Okay, thank you.
All right? Can I have a motion to close this portion of the hearing to the public?
Second.
All in favor?
Oh, wait.
All right. Can I, on our appointment and personnel changes, we have the reappointment of our tax assessor, James Anzavino. Can I have a motion for that?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstained? We have a, can I have a motion to approve the hiring of Nicole Florio as a tax collection clerk at a probationary rate with a 6-month probationary period?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstained? Can I please have a motion to approve the hiring of Nick Tarabakia of Fairlawn as a laborer 2
So moved.
with the DPW?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Can I have a motion to hire Daniel Decker of Fairlawn as a laborer 2 with a 1-year probationary period?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And we did Mr. Estevez to the police reserves. Can I have a motion to approve a salary increase for Francis Gallagher, who was a laborer 1 in the Department of Public Works due to longevity increases?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstained? Can I have a motion to approve the resignation of Pauline Franklin from the Department of Public Works?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And can I have a motion to approve the hiring of camp staff per the list on file in the clerk's office?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. For members of the public, there is correspondence and monthly reports that are listed on the agenda that are available to be perused and read and copied at the, through contacting our municipal clerk. These include monthly reports from the Historic Commission, the zoning, the tax collector, and the Zoning Board of Adjustment. This evening we have liaison reports, beginning with Councilwoman Murphy, liaison to Shade Tree, the Library, Environmental Protection, the Green Team, Technology, and New Milford Oradell Shared Services. Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. I was unable to attend the Shade Tree meeting the last one that they had, so I don't know if there's any updates. Usually I correspond with Liz, and she tells me if there's anything that needs to be known. Anything?
No, I think we're just working with, I think the total line planting is the last thing. I think the gate goes on Bogart Road, we were not happy with the quality, so that's the only.
Okay, so you can just email me if there's anything else. As far as the library goes, we do have some upcoming events that are happening. We have Shakespeare coming up. We also have, thanks to TD Bank, sponsoring Field Station Dinosaur on Friday, June 27th at 1 o'clock, which will be a great event for children of all ages. We're also looking to fix the emergency exit doors and the front door. I believe that Dara has been in contact with DPW to look into that, the 2 metal doors. And that's about it for tonight.
Okay. Councilman Capola, Rec, Senior Citizens, Beautification Committee, Special Events, Technology.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, the senior citizens will be having a concert on June the 30th from 1 to 2 at the SCORE Temple Abba Shalom. And also this past Thursday, special events and the car show, along with the police, met to come to an agreement about permission in the park to put cars, memorial, and how many. And that is it.
Okay. Councilwoman Bastides, SCORE, Historic, Traffic and Safety, Special Events.
Thank you, Mayor. The senior SCORE group continues to fill out their community center surveys and are very engaged in that project, so that's very good news. Historic Commission continues to do all of their good work. They're anxiously awaiting to hear whether or not their grant has been awarded so that they can start moving forward with using the space in the library to do all of their archiving. Traffic and Safety Committee is going to join Green Team tomorrow night, where we will talk about the conducting of the bikeability and walkability surveys of the borough. I've also talked with SCORE about getting a member from SCORE to participate in that survey, so I'll have more to report at the next meeting. Special events, we're working very hard on July 4th and all of those festivities. I would like to report that we're still taking sponsorships for July 4th, so if there's anyone out there or listening that would like to do that, there's still time. And we're also still accepting applications for parade entrance, and there will be prizes, so please tell your friends and neighbors and businesses, and the library, maybe they want to do a float, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay, very good. I'm just making sure I'm diarying tomorrow night's traffic
8
and
o'clock.
safety meeting. I only have it as Green Team.
Right, so we're just going to join them tomorrow night.
All right, Councilman Mignon, DPW Zoning Subcommittee, New Milford, Oradell Shared Services.
No report unless John has anything else he wants to add from DPW.
And what these people have been given back as of today, and it would be less than 12,000. I would put aside, it was 9,400 and change for repair.
And you're requesting that the sweeper be on the capital list for 2015.
Yeah, I just met with the one dealer today,
Are the sweepers just one brand?
Well,
No, we go out to bid.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Because the documentation that you provided us in our correspondence was like one manufacturer.
Yeah, I have to start somewhere, so.
Okay.
That's the starting point.
they're just a piece of equipment they get a lot of use, and they're only one purpose, so that's the problem. And when they go down, and they're very expensive to maintain, as we say.
All right, Councilman Acofreda.
Yes.
Construction Code Official Property Maintenance Planning Subcommittee, Technology, River Edge, Riverdale Schools.
This Thursday, there will be a meeting of the planning board. On the agenda is the CVS new signage application. As we all may know, CVS is relocating from its present location to the freestanding building formerly occupied by Total Wine. So we'll be hearing that one. With regards to the schools on Riverdale, their graduation exercise is this Thursday at 5 o'clock. I do plan to attend, and I certainly would invite any other member of mayor and council, if they're available, to be there. The River Edge schools hosted a community planning meeting moderated by the New Jersey School Board Association on June 3rd. And essentially what this is an exercise by the River Edge Board of Education to begin to assess the strengths and challenges facing the River Edge schools, sharing thoughts about how to address needs, learning needs, academic needs, as well as ultimately space needs. And there is as reported in the past, there is a sharp increase in incoming students, especially at the kindergarten level. So among other things, besides this community-wide school planning initiative, they will be doing a re-registration for the incoming class in the fall. And they've also conducted a demographic study that will be reported on at the meeting on June 25th at Cherry Hill, which I had planned to attend, but the superintendent reached out for me to make sure that I would be present so I could listen to this report by the demographer. will basically outline where the extra kids are coming from. I think that's what I expect to see, or incite a whole bunch of studies and things like that. So I'll be happy to report back on that at the next meeting.
All right, thank you. Councilman Papaleo is not here to give his reports. I have a very short report from the River Edge Volunteer Ambulance Service. Thus far in 2014, the Volunteer Ambulance Service has responded to 307 calls. Rivas will be participating in this year's Riverdale Junior Police Academy. They are scheduled to attend on June 27th with the River Edge and the Oradell Police Departments. A helicopter landing at the school is being scheduled for 11:15 a.m. on that day, June 27, 2014, the State Police helicopter. That was submitted by Captain Donna Sanders. River Edge Volunteer Ambulance Service is a very long-standing public service volunteer organization here in town. They're always looking for volunteers. If you know anybody who would love to be considered a candidate for our volunteer ambulance service, they can obtain further information by contacting Donna Sanders or looking at the River Edge Volunteer Ambulance Service Facebook page. We do not have any ordinances tonight on for first reading or second reading. We have a list of resolutions on our consent agenda, beginning with Resolution 14-247, going up to the payment of bills, 14-265. I would first like a motion to table Resolution 14-266, which is the state contract for micro resurfacing.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstained? All right, can I have a motion, or does any member of the public wish to pull out for separate consideration or question any item on the consent agenda? Councilman Mignone.
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to pull out 14-260 regarding the Animal Control Services contract with Tyco, and 14-262 regarding the use of Memorial Park for the car show.
Okay. Did you have, you want a separate vote on both of those?
Yes, Mayor.
14-260 and 14-262. Okay. All right, can I have a consent, a motion to adopt by consent 14-247 up to 14-259?
So moved.
Oh,
I will abstain from resolution number 14-250.
250.
I will vote yes on all the others.
All right. All right, let's have a roll call on, so we can correctly do the abstention. Let's have a roll call on 14-247 up to 14-259.
So moved.
Second.
No, a roll call.
Yes.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Capola?
Yes.
Councilwoman Steve?
Yes.
Councilman Mignon?
Yes.
Councilman Aquafina?
Yes, except for abstaining on resolution number 14-250.
Very good. All right. Can I have a motion and a second on 14-261?
So moved.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Can I have a motion and a second on 14-263 and 264?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Can Councilman Mignon please read and move 14-265?
Whereas vouchers for the payments of goods and services rendered to the Borough of River Edge have been received, and whereas each bill has been checked by the receiving department, approved by the Chief Financial Officer and Borough Clerk, and reviewed by the 3 members of the Finance Committee. Now therefore be it resolved that bills as listed now be confirmed for payment from the appropriate funds as follows. Current account, $1,963,133.71. Capital account, $1,410.90. Recreation account, $3,520.03. Animal welfare account, $15. Self-insurance account, $5,254.33. Trust other account, $6,516.38. Open space account, $415.10. Trust other developers account, $7,155.17. So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, now let's do the animal control contract, 14-260. Can I please just have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
And do I have a second?
Second.
All right, now I can open it for discussion. Does anyone wish to speak on the animal control contract before we do a roll call? All right, seeing no one, let's just do the roll call.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Capola?
No.
Councilwoman Steve?
Yes.
Councilman Mignon?
No, I think that the minimal savings we're getting from leaving the county will be cost passed on to homeowners. They're not aware of it. I hope it doesn't happen, but the contract is structured that way, and I don't think we should be saving money on this level by transferring more cost to the individual homeowners.
Councilman Epperson?
I'm going to vote no on this one.
Okay. We'll put this on the July 7th work session, Mayor, to determine what we'll do after the expiration of the county contract.
Have you sent that letter out,
Put them
Alan?
on notice so that you have 90 days to re-enter with them or
90 days.
or rescind it. I'm sure they will be happy to rescind.
Maybe the county will give us the same price that Tyco was going to give us.
Maybe.
Maybe. Who knows? All right, now we're up to 14-262. Would anybody like to, before I call for the motion and a vote, would anybody like to allow the public to be heard on this before I do it, or not?
Yes. I would make a motion that we open to the public on this subject.
All right, is there a second open to the public?
Second.
There's a motion and a second open to the public. All in favor of opening to the public before we vote on this resolution?
Aye.
Aye. All right. All right, we're open to the public before we take a final vote on the resolution authorizing the River Edge Cultural Center to use Memorial Park in connection with its annual car show. Would any member of the public like to be heard on this?
Should we hear from Councilman Capola first? Because we never really got...
Of course, we could hear from Councilman Capola. Let's hear the report from Councilman Capola.
Thank you, Mayor. We met Thursday, the car show, the special event /rec, and the police department. So, in short, after deliberation and conversation and debate, we came to an agreement that, number one, the park could be used, and two, the amount of cars that could be used. And through conversation and discovery of what would be needed and be deemed safe by the experts in the room, which would be the police, we determined to agreement on 10 cars in the park. Reason being, and that might seem a far cry from what the initial numbers were, which were whatever, 40, 50, 60, 70, and then 40. After speaking with Police Chief and the Lieutenant, Walker, and the car show committee and the rec, number one thing is safety, and safety for the people there, and not only the cars. And it was deemed that 10 cars situated in a section of the park that were determined by the police that they could have safe access to and from the park in case of emergency. So we all agreed on the 10 cars. Of course, there could be more cars put in there, but we wanted to err on the side of safety, not to blow this and make this a bad show, no pun intended, for the car show. So that was the consensus in the room and the agreement that we came to, again, with safety being of the utmost concern. And we also will have an additional police officer or officers in that side of the park. And that's the general report back. If anybody has any questions, feel free. And may I add also just the special event /rec.
It's not a special event.
I'm sorry, the rec. Thank you. The rec wanted me just to relay the message that they regret that they were not informed or put into the loop in the process of determining this decision. I'm just the messenger on that. That's all. So, okay, fire away. Questions?
Well, they were in this decision from March.
Wait a minute, let's do it like this. I'm running a meeting.
Oh, sorry, Mayor.
Councilman Capola gave his report. Let's hear from the public. When we, if there's a motion and a second, because there may not be, if there's a motion and a second, then we'll open it up for discussion for the council, which is how we do business. So, does any member of the public wish to speak on this car show park thing?
Yes, I've attended the car show. It's great. However, I would have a concern about the park because it has been a rainy spring.
Wait a minute. You have to identify yourself.
Catherine Bound.
Catherine?
B-O-U-N-D-S.
B-A-U-N-D-S. B-O.
T-E-S-D.
And your address?
753 Summit Avenue.
Okay.
So I think, I don't know what macadam could fit these cars, actually, because those paths are not that wide. And what about leakage into the soil?
I could speak to that.
Fluids from these cars.
In the meeting, we spoke to the car show, and they will be putting underneath each car a plastic or metal, essentially a elongated pan that would capture any kind of drippage onto the blacktop. They're not going to be on the grass. So that was agreed upon. Not paper, not cardboard. It would be a non-porous, like I said, plastic or aluminum or metal, something that would, if there were any kind of drippage, and we're talking about dripping, not a gushing of fluids or anything like that, there would be that there to catch that. And the
Right.
I think it's environmentally ill-advised.
Anybody else?
You can go first.
He didn't have his hand up.
Okay. Christopher Hill, 404 Valley Road. Hey, as you know, I'm on the rec commission. I was at the meeting on Thursday. There's a couple of
Chris,
things
could you come up here to the front?
I'm happy right here. I have a loud voice. I can do it from here.
But we just wanted
No, it's fine.
for
I
the,
have a very loud voice. I can handle it from here. I'm happy to speak from the back, actually. There was a couple of things that, and I'm not trying to blame Councilman Capola, he did a great job of brokering the meeting. There were a couple of things that were not mentioned that are part of the proposal or the compromise. Mind you, that there was going to be a $5,000 maintenance bond that would have to be procured by the Cultural Center. And also, the police chief, well, that happened 2 years ago, but it was $2,000. $2,000 for 4 cars, $5,000 for 10 cars. Do the math, try to kind of even out. The second thing was that the mayor and council were going to have to decide, because any other special events permit, the people that get police for the park, that particular organization has to pay for the police overtime that gets incurred that day. So the mayor and council would have to decide if, and I know Peter's going to say in the 13 years that his organization is going to have to pay for it, so the mayor and council have to decide if the cultural center would have to be responsible for that money, or if the mayor and council does, because the chief of police said, I do not have that money for overtime in my budget for that event. So that's just
Okay.
a couple of things that were, and I'm appalled to see that there's still 40-car resolution on the table for the meeting. Even though we were told it wasn't going to be on there.
Nobody pulled it off. It's still on the agenda. Okay. You have to identify yourself.
Peter Dunsey, trustee of the River Edge Cultural Center, 446 Oak Avenue. After extensive amounts of research and exploration and negotiation, and thank you, Anthony, for chairing the meeting, we came to an agreement. The chairperson of REC, she made a proposal to us, and we accepted it. We were asked to play nice in the sandbox, and that's what we did.
I used those words. That was my phrase, right?
Took your advice.
Trademark.
Okay. And it's essentially what was stated in the proposal that we accepted was everything that is in the resolution for the interest of coming to a compromise. We reluctantly accepted the 10-car, and that this would be a demonstration to see that in the future if it could be more than that or not. In regard to the other items that were mentioned, they were piled on after the agreement was accepted. Basically, it was offered, we said yes. Then came the matters in regard to the bond, which in prior years was demonstrated that there wasn't one item, it was photographed, everything like that there was no damage whatsoever to the park, and indeed there wouldn't be. Many of these cars that we're talking about are dealer cars, they're not new cars. The other cars that will probably be in there are going to be staff cars, people that we are in control of, we know. They're not going to be somebody who's there and leaving, because our staff people are there all day, so it'll be under control. In the second matter, it was brought up that there would have to be 2 police officers, which was later modified to 1 police officer. We have never had a regular police officer assigned to show, other than at the very start for a few minutes to make sure that everything was in order, and then the reserves took it from there. The expense that was proposed was not part of the agreement. This is all post-agreement. And we are comfortable with the resolution as stated here, and we're willing to accept the modification in the interest of working together to the quantities. We're not prepared to have an expense which only takes away from the services that the cultural center provides. If we have to incur an expense, it becomes prohibitive. It means that we don't have a concert. It means that we don't do another activity that's for the benefit of the town. We're a sister organization.
Let me ask you a question, Mr. Dunsey. The entrance fee per vehicle is how much?
Early registrations, if it's royalty, it's $12. If it's early and they hadn't been there last year, it's $15. If it's after June 30th, it's $20. So maximum we're looking at is $200.
Maximum is $200. And the rec wants you to put up a $5,000 bond.
That's what they said after we accepted their
Okay, all right.
proposal.
I just want to, just trying to figure out the numbers.
Please just listen to the digital recording, see how that went.
Anything else you want to tell us?
No, we just want to get on with it and demonstrate that we'll do it in a very high quality way like we always do.
All right, thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard? I don't want to close the record.
Can I ask a question of Mr. Dunsey at this point, or
Yeah,
should I wait till
no.
he comes?
Ask
So
now.
I just want to make sure I understand what you're saying. You agree to the reduction to 10 cars. Your objection is to the increase in the bond to 5,000.
No.
Okay, then
Okay.
The objection is to a bond at all.
okay, to a bond at
What we
all.
agreed to is essentially what's in this resolution, except for the
Reduction in the-
40%. After we accepted that, then there was this piling on of, oh, we forgot, oh, we forgot, oh, we forgot.
Thank you.
Let me just, so the record is clear, the River Edge Cultural Center is sponsoring this car show, correct? The River Edge Cultural Center runs out of borough-owned property, correct?
Yes.
The River Edge Cultural Center is insured under a general liability policy,
Yes.
right? That you provide proof of insurance to the borough every year.
Yes.
All right, okay. Kathleen?
Just going to ask Mr. Ilg, when St. Peter's does their carnival there, do they also post a bond for use of the park?
You'd have to ask Chief.
That's a different issue. I'm not getting into any other
Never ask
issues.
Chief Turley that question.
Okay, I just was curious if there's other groups that are required to post bonds. Does that seem unreasonable to ask that question?
I can answer it. It's apples and oranges.
Okay.
There's no cars during the St. Peter's picnic. And I would just like to add, Mayor, that the way that Mr. Dunse is categorized in the meeting is absolutely not the way it happened.
Okay.
It was discussed at length that a bond needed to be provided, and the police and Chief Caridi at length discussed that in order for this to happen, for there to even be the possibility of cars in the park, I need to make sure that I have some of my men there that day to make sure that it goes smoothly.
Ed?
Mr. Dunse or Mr. Yukon, 2 years ago, you said they posted a $2,000 bond, so they did that.
That's correct.
They had the pans under the cars the last time, too? Or no?
They were dealer cars.
Dealer cars.
2 years ago, they were dealer cars.
And as far as the police chief's recommendation, we can't override if he wants 1 cop, 2 cops, 5 cops. I think the only redress we have would be, like other organizations who come to us after the fact, is ask us to waive the administrative cost, and we just ask for the salary for the individual officer. And hopefully that one of the newer hires gets that detail, and you get a lower rate. But that's not unusual either. So I don't find that as a burdensome
Mr.
request.
Dunse?
The reason that the chief had said is that the people that would be there would be anybody from the public that qualifies under our antique car limitation. But even at 19 and 29 Model T Ford, he could decide to go home early. So in order to bring it back under control, we have the new dealer, in their agreement, they're there for the duration, and our staff who are there for the duration. So we're not having free access to any car that happens to come, because we're going to keep it under control, which would mitigate the chief's concern that anybody would just leave. No, these people are directly responsible to us.
All right. Okay, so the resolution is on the agenda, presently constituted. It has 40 vehicles. You heard Mr. Dunn say. Is there any motion that anybody wants to make before we...
I'll make a motion, we table 14262 and let the agreement as brokered stand.
All right, a motion to table, unfortunately, carries precedence under motion to vote. So we'll need a second on the motion to table, then a vote, and then a majority vote on the motion to table. So that's the sequence of events here. We have a motion to table. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Let's have a roll call vote on the motion to table.
Councilwoman Burke?
No.
Councilman Capola?
Yes.
Councilwoman Steve?
No.
Councilman Mignon?
Yes.
Councilman Afrida?
I need any clarification. If we table the motion that's on the table, basically we're saying we're not doing 40 cars.
No.
No. No, we didn't get to that part yet about
So what is
amending anything.
please
Motion to
explain
table
to
is
me.
just to remove it from the agenda.
And
Remove it from the agenda, and it will not be voted on, and Mr. Dunse and the Rec Commission are left in this morass that they're presently in.
And that's why we had the meeting. We came to a resolution. It's just the details that they're going to work out.
But there is a sharp disagreement between what the outcome
agree about the market cars.
If the motion to table fails, then any member of council can make a subsequent motion to amend the resolution, to change the number, to add a bond, to take away a bond, anything you want to do. But first, now we're voting on, the vote is 2-2 to table further discussion of this.
Right, so I'm going to vote against tabling with the intent of modifying the motion.
Okay. All right, so the motion to table fails. Now, are there any other motions? Did you want to make anyone have another motion? All right, then let's just vote on this motion. Is there a motion to pass, to adopt this resolution?
So moved.
Is there a second to adopt this resolution?
Can I speak?
No, not until there's a second. If there's no second, it's just like it's been tabled.
Did you say somebody has to second this to have a discussion?
And then a vote.
But this is the motion that would approve 40 cars.
Well, I asked if anybody has a motion to amend it, and I didn't hear anything. Nobody said anything. Let me go back. Is there a motion? Does anybody want to make a motion regarding Resolution 14-262? We can't make a motion to table anymore.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the resolution to reduce the number of cars to 10 per the agreement, but to not include a bond because you've just indicated they are clearly covered under the borough policy.
All right, so that's a motion. Now, if we want that motion to go forward, there has to be a second.
I'll second that motion.
All right, so now there's a motion and a second.
Number one's going to be modified, number of cars permitted in the park will be limited to 10, and we're going to insert number 6, that no maintenance bond will be required to be posted by the River Edge.
Well, it doesn't, it's silent, that's the main...
Silent,
right?
well, yes, but it was specifically stated.
And what about the police?
The police are,
That was a bone of contention, am I right?
we'll deal with the police and their overtime issues and, the fact that they use our police reserves every year anyway.
Question. All right, so then we're covered underneath the general liability.
Yeah.
So we don't need you're saying we don't need the extra, not the extra, whatever it is, $3,000. Because it covers the same thing, it's redundant.
It's redundant.
Excuse me?
It's redundant.
Then why can't we just why don't they just waive the bond then? I don't know why the council is inserting itself in this process when we don't have to.
That's my original thing.
Because Rec doesn't want to waive the bond.
But Rec doesn't have, does Rec have the authority to require a bond in the first place? So if they don't have that authority,
they
then...
did 2 years ago. They did 2 years ago.
Yeah, well, I guess I don't see why it's unreasonable to ask for a similar bond for the thing. It's a minor, you're not asking them to put up $10,000 in cash, you're asking them to put up a fraction of that to get a bond for $10,000.
Right, well,
But haven't you just indicated that's redundant?
It is. I don't see it
So
being...
that
it's
would be why I would
preference. You want
remove it.
extra protection, and then you...
These groups have to
require
work
it. You
together.
don't need
The
it.
car show brings in more people than the River Edge Run. They get 1,500 attendees. It's a borough-wide affair. So I don't understand why we can't support a town affair that has a lot of visibility, 13 years.
We do support it.
Why does it have to be so difficult for two groups to work
Compromise means
together?
nobody leaves happy, and this is what it seemed to have turned out to be.
Right.
The Rec Commission wasn't happy.
I wasn't happy, but...
He's not happy, the car was happy.
According to what
We
I
got-
heard
we got-
on the tape, they stated, we have a no car in the park policy. Okay, it's either none or some. Where is that policy? I'd love to see
And
it,
they
because then it's like, well,
they modified that
here's 4.
policy for this. They modified it, and so they...
There's no policy to modify.
Well,
Hold
there
it,
could
hold
be a
it.
policy. You may not have a policy.
I always give everybody a chance to talk twice. So, I think Kathleen's talked twice, Ed's talked twice. Ellen, I'll give you a chance to talk. I'll give Mr. Capola, Mr. Aquafreda an opportunity to talk, and then we have a motion and a second. We just need to do a roll call eventually. Ellen, did you have something to say?
I agree 100% that the car show is a valuable asset to the borough, and that we should support it. And we've asked them to come to a compromise, and Mr. Dunce has indicated here that they did agree to a compromise of 10 cars. The motion is on the table to pass a resolution to allow for the 10 cars. We've heard from our borough attorney that this bond is redundant. I think we vote.
Okay. I'll call it.
Councilwoman Murphy?
No.
Councilman Capola?
Yes.
Councilwoman Christie?
Yes.
Councilman Mignon?
No.
Councilman Aquafredo?
Yes.
What's the vote?
3-2.
3-2 against it?
No, I'm for 10 cars, and it's redundant, the insurance, so I'm saying...
You passed 3-2?
10 cars. There's a motion to approve there's a motion to... It was a motion by Councilwoman Bastille to amend the resolution to 10 cars.
Right.
There's a second. And in favor of that was...
Anthony.
Ellen, and Rita.
And you voted no?
Right. I don't think it should be 10 cars. I think 10 cars is ineffective.
Mayor, can I...
I may personally agree with you, but Mr. Dunsey is here and said he accepted it.
I don't think he voiced his displeasure enough. So, I mean, he's left with saying, we
To
compromised.
say we don't support the car show, we support the car show because it's in existence. Not supporting it with saying we're shutting it down, zero.
And
So we are
the implication is they don't get these cars,
I
there's no
love the show, by the way.
The show goes on whether they got the park or not. So let's not make this implication that if they didn't get 40 cars in
No,
this
I support the car
the
show.
whole
It
show
makes it a
falls
more
apart.
pleasurable experience for
And
the
it may, and you know what, these things are incremental. They got 2, they got to 10, maybe next year they'll get 15 or 20 and it'll work. But you have to try things in steps to make sure everybody's satisfied. We didn't call the chief of police here. We didn't ask the chairman of the rec commission to be here. We didn't ask the recreation director to be here. You know, we're doing
I think
everything on
we've gotten
hearsay.
everyone's opinion.
No one sat in front of us and gave us the chief of police wasn't here tonight. Bobby's not here tonight. The chairwoman of the rec commission's not here tonight.
Our liaison has, has given us the information.
And he
from
gave us a
those
different version of events that we heard from Mr. Dunsey, depending on which order you believe the
Then we'll have to
add-ons
listen
came
to
in.
the recording
To the
again.
minute of what, read the minutes when they come out, but...
So, and we're necessarily...
All I can say is that if this lively discussion about the River Edge Car Show is our biggest problem,
We're blessed.
then
Yeah.
we're blessed.
Oh, absolutely.
Then we're a blessed town. A blessed town.
That's what I like.
Thank you very much. All right. Thank you. Thank Mr. Oak for appearing, for giving us the other side of the argument. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any council comments?
Come to close.
I'd like to thank,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Trying to sneak that by.
Mrs. Bounds, I closed the, no, we have to go back into, we gotta go back to
We went
the
to
work
the
session.
everybody agreed on it.
Have to go back
Didn't
to
this
the
lady
work
want, she
session.
wanted to speak though?
Yes, you wanted to speak on the
Motion to reopen to the
trees.
public?
Can I have a motion to reopen to the public?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
You.
You.
I have, Councilman Bounds, 753 Summit Avenue, and I have just a few issues. I'm sorry I got caught in with the car, but that park is lovely, and I've been down there with my grandkids, and in the rain, it's mushy, and to mix in tire tracks and fluids is just really not a good use. So that's over. I want to ask the council if the town of River Edge requires COs for rentals.
Certificate of occupancy for a
Yes,
rental
I'm
of
sorry.
what?
Of an apartment, of a house, of a
You mean like
residence.
every time a tenancy changes?
Uh-huh.
Every time a tenant vacates and a new tenant comes in?
Yes.
I don't believe we have that requirement.
Okay, and I'm suggesting that maybe that might be a good idea,
Why?
because other towns do have it. I do own some rental properties in other counties, and they require it.
Residential rental?
Uh-huh.
Not commercial property?
No, not commercial, no. And so, A, it's a revenue stream to the town.
It is.
I have been here, I think 15 or so years ago, with the same suggestion when my own children were in school to address the school population issue. If the town required a CO, then there's an income stream to the town, and I'm sure the town isn't flush with money, as any government isn't, and you'd be able to provide a lease listing the residents to the schools so you know who legitimately attends the schools, because I too have heard that the kindergarten at Cherry Hill is going from 6 to 8, possibly 9 kindergartens in September, which is fine if it's legitimate. But it's kind of a suggestion that, you know, I've seen it work in other towns, I've rented in other towns and it's required, and I'm just wondering or suggesting that maybe you should look into it here.
Okay, that's a good suggestion. We'll certainly have our borough attorney look into it. Do you know any other towns that may have, that have such an ordinance?
Up here, I'm in Monmouth,
Fort Lee
so
does.
Fort Lee?
actually, I think you're a construction gal, because I came for another issue, and we were just chatting.
Right.
And she has worked in other towns where they've been required, and she said it was kind of surprising that River Edge didn't.
Okay, all right.
Our Board of Ed has mentioned this because they do see a surge in
Yeah.
students coming in, and as a way to kind of see who's legitimate, they did mention this at the
And
Board
a
of Ed
CO
meeting.
is a way.
Yep.
And actually, if you have a 1 or a 2-bedroom apartment, in my experience, where I've been required to get a CO for tenants, you are limited for so many people per square foot, and that's like fire codes or BOGA codes, especially with multifamily dwellings. So, just a suggestion, and I have a dead tree in front of my house, and I want to know what the process is of A, getting it removed, B, getting it replaced, and does the resident have a choice of tree? Can I do my own? Because I had 3 trees replaced by 2. I'm on the corner of Webb and Summit. The 2 trees have grown enormously, have lifted the plates to the sidewalks. They're ugly, and I don't have the electrical wires, so they're not interfering with that. You know, they're on the other side of the street. But I think it's unattractive. And what died was very attractive, and it was a small tree, ornamental. You know, it didn't overwhelm the space between the curb and the sidewalk. And so, who removes it? Who do I call? And what the
Well, it just so happens that we have the chair and a member of the Shade Tree Commission with us this
That's why I was
evening.
hoping they didn't leave through all that
I
other
can
discussion.
basically give you an overview that when a resident reports a dead or diseased tree, they report it to the Shade Tree Commission,
But who do I report to first?
It's reported.
to the Shade Tree Commission.
Yeah, so typically what residents do is they'll either call us, or keep all information on the website, you call our phone number, or they write us a letter. A lot of residents write us a letter. So what we'll do is we have your address, we'll come, we'll evaluate the tree. We'll, you know, if it's dead, we'll mark it for removal.
Yeah.
We'll leave you a door tag if you're not home, we'll lock the door first.
Oh, okay.
And just so you know, we are volunteers.
No, that's fine. I was just told DPW, and I'm not getting anything back from there.
No, but
so
then
I don't know the process.
submit a work order to DPW with instructions.
Okay.
After the tree is marked,
Uh-huh.
and after it's evaluated, and then it's marked for removal, then the work order goes from Shade Tree to the DPW. The DPW will put it on their list, and then the tree will be removed. Then there's a waiting period if there's a stump to be ground, because we bid out all of our stump grindings.
Very small trunk, it really...
I'm just giving you the overview.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of tree you have. We put all of our stumps on a list again, and we, once a year, we go out to bid on stump grinding, and the stumps are ground. Then, if you request a tree, it'll go to the Shade Tree Commission, and they'll put you on the list for a new tree.
So this sounds like at least a year.
It's a little bit longer, because in the past, we use, just for the stump grinding, sometimes we can't get all our stumps ground down in 1 year. And then for planting, we don't have funding to replace every certain tree that comes down. But if you want a tree, you make sure you're on the list of residents who really want a tree, because we have some residents who do not want a tree. So it could be a year, it could be a couple of years, depending on funding.
Can I plant my own tree?
You can't plant on your own borough property, because we have to. You can plant it on your property, on the inside of the...
Those I have, but if there is, once this tree is gone from the corner of Webb Ave to Roosevelt School, there's not a tree that's ever been replaced. And it's been years. Appreciate it, yeah. I mean, I have, from the Arbor Day Foundation, small little trees. Okay. Secondly, because of the excellent job, and this is not sarcastic, that DPW does in snow removal, and because I'm on a school block, the plows come to clean right to the curb. As a result, on the Webb Avenue side of my house, that curb has a concrete top, but it's all eaten out from underneath from the plowing. So, who fixes that?
Mayor, the homeowners have the responsibility of maintaining the curb and the
The
sidewalk.
curb?
Yes.
Seriously?
Yes.
So if somebody steps on the top of that curb and they get hurt, they sue me?
Anybody can sue anybody.
They
so-
sue everybody, to be honest with you.
Oh,
And then
I
we
don't-
battle it out later.
Oh, no. Well, then,
But the curb is...
if the town causes the problem, why do I have to pay to fix it?
We have an ordinance that says it's the homeowner's responsibility to maintain the curb and the
Yes, I
sidewalk.
bring it up here, thank you.
Wow. Okay, another DPW issue I have is that the street sweeper has never cleaned Webb Avenue on my side of the street, by my property. Because cars are always parked there, commuters, school people, whatever, which is, and it's allowed. I don't want any more signs prohibiting that. But is it possible to get a schedule, like when they'll be in the neighborhood? So we could try to keep it clear?
That's a question for Mr. Lynch right over there in the corner.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, we look out the window and we run out to move cars to catch them, and, there must be some...
There's parking is allowed 24/7 on your side of Webb Avenue?
Yeah.
There's no sign that says no parking between these hours so we can clean the street?
No. And I don't want any more signs. I have enough signs in the front with the pickup and drop-off of school kids, and, the trees are coming down and we're getting these signs, which I think are unattractive. So it's not that I'm asking for a sign to keep it clear. It's just, is there a schedule? The north end of town gets done, the central, the south end, like the garbage collection, so that...
I'll let Mr. Lynch address, what the street cleaning schedule is.
Yeah. Is there a...
2 years ago, we were going to put signs up around every school for no parking between this area, between a certain amount of time. And that was shot down. So there's no way for me to set a schedule on street sweeping if I take your cars to move.
Right.
But that's really not my question. Is there some kind of schedule that you do a certain section of the town? You know what I mean?
I don't know. We're asking you.
Yeah.
Through the chair,
Okay.
sorry. There is no schedule.
So it's just randomly, wherever he drives?
Manpower, we have maintenance issues with the sweeper, we have weather to contend with, so set schedule would actually set certain areas of town back.
Yeah, you have to understand that we have we don't have a very large DPW crew, I think 17 employees? 15?
Oh, I can appreciate that. This
No, wait a minute.
isn't a criticism, as I said.
But everybody multitasks in the DPW. When we have leaf removal, everybody does leaf removal. When we do plowing, everybody's doing plowing. So it's street sweeping is something that we do when the weather's clear, it's not storming, we're not picking up leaves.
But I would imagine the last time it was street sweeping was a day, and it was in this part of town. And then the next day that there was time to do street sweeping, they knew they did this, and so they moved to another part of the town, and so on and so on.
I think you're correct, Mayor, if you have a larger department and they have somebody who that's their sole purpose. And there's some departments which are large enough where they have people, their job is street sweeping. And generally they'll come in and they'll have a set route. But I think the way John's manpower complement is now, that's not a luxury he has right now. And he doesn't have an overtime budget where he can have somebody come in, say, at 5 o'clock in the morning and have a set schedule. So I think what he's saying, he does the mandated areas that he has to do under our stormwater permit, I'm sure, but everything else is as needed as he can get to it, I think.
then I can see the point of having the street sweeper.
Well, the
So,
DEP
it's
requires
fine.
that we sweep certain streets, but it's generally, the Department of Environmental Protection requires in commercial areas with certain speed limits, you need to sweep those streets once a week, and generally in commercial areas on high-speed roads, which means that John has to do those because DEP comes and checks every year to make sure you're logging that you do that. So that gives less time to do, say, a residential street, which is not mandated by DEP.
But I do see it once a month.
Yes.
So,
Typical not in my backyard. I mean, we fixed this by putting a sign.
Yeah.
oh, no, no,
What's
no.
the, what's
No
the,
signs.
You want sign, not want sign.
No,
want
no.
sign.
You know, we shouldn't have overnight parking in this town. That would be nice, but that I was told for the 35 years I've been here, that can't be done either. But, you know, that would make it great, because then you'd have no problem.
you would have a problem.
Why?
No, if you had no overnight parking,
Right, then,
then at
They
some
could-
point, the streets would be clear.
Sure.
And you could plow, you
Exactly.
could sweep,
exactly.
and if there were any cars there, they'd be investigated because they may be suspicious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Just two more quick things, I think, I hope. I didn't realize this would be
I
so
think
long.
you're on your fourth thing.
I know.
You had two
Just
things.
two more.
But I'm not counting.
Two more, and I don't bother you folks, so, usually. Veterans Building, what's going on with the Veterans Building? We knocking it down?
Former American Legion,
Yeah.
we have issued an opinion survey and a assessment survey to different organizations that are interested in having a community center or using community space. We're gonna, the time to answer the survey is over, as far as I'm concerned. We're gonna calculate what everybody, we're gonna, look at the surveys, see what people want.
But these were organizations,
Yeah,
not individuals,
organizations,
right? Yeah.
And individuals.
Where was that survey sent?
We'll let our town clerk tell you.
It's actually online, and the Recreation Department had
Are you
a whole
serious?
file.
Wow. Again,
If
see,
you want to fill it out, ma'am, we'll
Online, it
listen to
was
your
on our bulletin board, it was...
We'll take it. Now, if you want to fill, we can get you the survey. We'll
We can get
certainly
you the
take your
survey.
opinion, ma'am. That's...
I'll go online, that's fine.
Anyway, answer the survey, then we're going to see what the community wants. Do they want to use the American Legion and fix it up? Do they want us to build a new building? We want to hear what the public wants.
Okay, the last I knew, it was coming down, and I just see it, and
There's no decision.
Yeah.
There's no
Oh, that's
decision.
good. Okay, and then the last thing is, there's a group home that is, was purchased on Valley Road for developmentally disabled or some kind of a facility of that nature. And so my question is, if it's a nonprofit agency that buys a house in town for that purpose, do they pay property taxes?
It's a new case that just recently came out. They will not, they will be
Wow.
off the property roads.
That's about 15,000 off the, wow. And there are no rules. Anybody could just buy a residential property, convert it to a group home, and that's acceptable.
There are there are very little or minimal restrictions that you could put on group homes. And it's very difficult to stop.
It's part of the whole, it's part of a whole evolving philosophy
Deinstitutionalization
to
of,
deinstitutionalize.
Main Street, I know.
You could go right in the middle of a residential block and
Yeah,
turn it.
yeah. I mean, I don't live there, but it's just, I think there are a few in town, as I've been noticing, and, well, maybe you could look into COs to make up for the loss of
Yeah, that is a good idea. We're
taxes.
gonna-
I don't know, but I do thank you for your attention and your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now can I have a motion to close this
Well, we
public hearing?
have to do the tree.
We have to go back to the work session to do that.
I need...
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Now can I have a motion to go back to the work session?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, now we're in the work session. We are discussing this amendment to the borough tree ordinance. We heard from our shade tree members, shade tree commission members. Do you want Mr. Sarlo to provide us with an alternative definition?
Just need some direction.
I suggest that we go with an alternative definition to like any living woody plant having a diameter greater than like 2 inches.
Can we do 1.5, please?
Measured, where do you want it measured?
1.5 caliper. Caliper?
1.5.
Define caliper.
Caliper is...
I don't know what that means.
Diameter of the tree,
So,
4
we
inches.
have a
above the
caliper,
ground.
it's the diameter of a tree measured at the point on the tree 4 inches from the base of the root flare.
All right, so it's just 4 inches above the ground.
No, above the root flare.
Above the what?
The root flare.
The root flare.
Now you have to define that.
Well,
It's a botanical term, I'm sure, yeah.
It's where the tree used to root.
Okay, so you want it 2,
1.5.
1.5
Caliper.
inches?
No.
Yeah.
I don't think you could have caliper in your definition.
Why, that's an arborist term.
Yeah, but
It's diameter of breadth.
Mr. and Mrs.
Yeah.
Smith,
So we'll have a caliper.
who are wondering whether or not
Caliber definition.
they can remove this
Whichever
tree,
caliber inches.
don't have a caliper on them.
Nice thing to
So
do.
they're all familiar with the U.S. measuring of inches.
Is it caliber?
No, caliper is measured in inches. So caliper is a...
It's a terminology.
Yes, but
So
it's
we need a
measured
definition of caliper, and then we're using the word caliper in the...
Can't we just use diameter at that location? A 1.5 inch diameter at 4 feet, or 4 inches above?
The arborist, in the arborist world, caliper is a defined definition of caliper.
Yeah, I understand the mayor's point, too. We want to make it clear English for someone who's, especially when you get a contractor who's going to ask you, why am I paying for this tree, and what's caliber?
Technically, too, they're supposed to hire an arborist, or we're the arborists that are evaluating. Whatever it is you do.
Can you put everything in there so every person can figure it out? The tree people and
No, if you just have,
The definition for caliper.
1.5 inches in diameter, measured at, 4 inches from the root, whatever, root flare.
That's it, yeah.
All right, so we're going with any living woody perennial plant having a diameter greater than 1.5 inches,
Inch caliper.
1.5 inch caliber, measured at a point 4 inches
above the roof there.
above the base
Of the root flare.
above the base of the root flare.
Is that where the root goes into the trunk? Right there at the little elbow?
Again, any living woody perennial plant having a diameter greater than 1.5 inches caliber, measured at a point 4 inches above the base of the root flare. Yeah?
That would cover everything that you currently plant? Now, you mentioned something about people plant their own trees.
Not typically, but if we catch it, we can say something, but every once in a while, there's a street we don't drive.
Alan? Could the borough attorney, is it which is above the, because if
That
you're
is, it would be.
saying 1.5 inches caliper, that by definition is 4 inches above the root
I don't know what
flare.
caliber
And
means.
now you're adding another 4 inches.
I don't know what caliber means.
So,
It's a girth.
to me, that's redundant unless you say 1.5 inches caliber, which is...
Having a diameter.
I would not put in the word caliper. I would just
I
say...
know, I mean, but since you put it in, I'm saying you've
I
got
would
to...
just say 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches measured at a point,
4 inches.
four inches above...
Otherwise, they can be circumference, they can be diameter, caliper means diameter.
But caliber.
But
You're saying diameter and caliber.
You're saying diameter twice.
Okay.
You have diameter and then caliper.
All right, let's leave it to the borough attorney.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what caliber means, again, so I'm at a loss here.
He
But
needs
keep it
diameter, can we just say diameter?
Yes.
yeah, so
Say diameter?
one more time. Any living woody perennial plant having
A
a diameter greater than 1.5 inches, measured at a point 4 inches above base,
flare.
above the base root flare.
this is our only problem, we're blessed.
Yeah.
Car show trees, we're batting 1,000, baby.
All right, so no more cows.
Nothing against the bats.
Mayor, I
Okay,
have,
that's all good then, right?
an old business topic for the Shade Tree Commission while they're here.
Okay.
I've looked twice at 936 Fifth Avenue.
Yeah.
I can't find the dead bushes, nor can I
There are
find
no
where
dead-
the stump was removed.
There are no dead bushes, they're just, they're not as tall as the other bushes, so there are no dead bushes. That's why I wanted to ask you. There's been minor damage to 3 of the bushes, but they're not dead. I didn't know where we began with replacing them. And I think it's still really, they're not dead.
I really don't know what to do with this, but I'm just trying to gather information at this
Yeah.
point. Because I went by it twice and stopped and looked, and
I agree.
I had a very tough time trying to
They're
understand.
declining. If you look like almost in the middle, they must decline. They need the years to grow in. They will grow in eventually, but they were minorly damaged, but I can't say which one's not right.
All right, we'll talk about it.
All right, anything else? Any other
Old business?
old business? Yes.
Yeah, every week we get emails from the municipalities regarding the lack of progress by the Assembly on renewing the interest arbitration cap. Correct. They passed it today or no?
Well, the
I know they're back in
Assembly-
session today, but
I don't know what happened to it, but here's the bill.
they will, I guess what I'm saying is that they were supposed to take action today. I didn't hear that they did. But I think, we should make a motion and act as a council, asking our Assembly representatives to follow the Senate's lead and approve the conditional veto that the Assembly approve the conditional veto that the Senate has, so we can get this cap in place, because a lot of towns, us included, are heading into contract negotiations with our unions, and if this is not in place, we're going to have a problem later in the year trying to keep a handle on our negotiation stance with our unions, because if the cap's not in place, there's no incentive for them not to go to arbitration. And without the cap in place...
We did it already. We did a resolution already.
No, but we did this originally, but not since the Assembly has not taken action. We haven't asked the Assembly people to take action. The Assembly's holding this up. It's not the Senate at this point.
We did. We did it. We adopted
It
the
passed on its
resolution.
first vote 2 hours ago.
What passed?
After months of negotiation between Democrats and Governor Christie, a bill that supporters call an important tool for controlling the growth of property taxes passed its first vote in the legislature on Monday. The measure would reinstate a cap on how much police and firefighter unions can receive in certain contract disputes. It passed the full Assembly unanimously. The chamber also gave final legislative approval to bills that would fight wage discrimination and impose restrictions on privatization plans. Another measure that advanced Monday would declare saltwater tapping the state's official candy.
Very good. I'm glad you had time for that one. No, so I'm glad. I knew they were supposed to act on it today, but I hadn't heard that they had, so rather than
Just
waiting until
happened.
July, so good. I withdraw my request and have a motion.
All right. Any other old business? Kathleen?
Just I'm curious about the P card progress.
Mayor, if I may, we had our first meeting with the bank representatives. We had the full staff in attendance on a conference call. We received some minutes from the meeting. We have to this week sit down and do sort of a chart and get onto a schedule with them where we have a weekly meeting and progress through the different processes. So it's moving along. We have some additional work to do, week in and week out on it.
Well, when do you think everything's going to be finalized?
I think I reported, they said it would be a 60 to a 90-day process if everything went well. So
Are we almost at 90 days at this point?
yes, I would say so. We're looking at the fall.
And how is the library looking? I saw the rendering of the ductwork.
Yes, we, Mayor, if I may, we distributed the architect's rendering of the ductwork. The library board requested time to have a meeting and to review it. So I've tentatively scheduled this for the July 7th meeting. I guess we could get Mr. Polici here to do a final review, and council can authorize us to go out to bid. All right. Any other old business? Eleanor?
Just wondering if we have any idea how the implementation of borough-wide email for committee and commission folks going. I know the Historic Commission doesn't have instructions to use it. Talking with Bobby Conway, that it's a bit of a clunky system for notifying her commissioners that emails are in the borough, or sitting in the borough mail server. So I'm just wondering how that implementation is going. Do we need to do any work to improve that, or move that along?
I'm going to say yes, there's a lot of work that has to be done on that. Offhand, I couldn't even tell you right now who was assigned borough emails. I don't believe everyone on the committee may have one at the present time.
Okay, so then my question is this, are they all now required to use this? And can we require them if they don't all have passwords? And, I mean, I don't know what the timing was.
I don't think we ever adopted
I don't know what the
policy
timing
yet.
was.
It's
But-
going to come back in July.
Okay, all right. I think we need to take a look at
I agree with
how it's working.
Councilman Steve, and also the other I raised to Stephanie a couple times, is that depending on the extension used, I don't get borough email. If I use the email@riveredgenj.org, I get all the emails. If it's the BOR dot whatever, I don't get those emails. And I don't know why that happens, but I know some stuff was going through, because the John's department was coming that way, and stuff I was getting from prior Denise and Judy and now Stephanie, I'm not getting those emails. And because I'm saying don't use my personal email, they don't even know I'm not getting them. So until I get a printout or someone asks me, so I think we need to see why that glitch comes up. I'm sure I'm not the only one that's happening to.
There's a concern that there's not a timely dissemination of information because it's going to the borough web address, but people are not accessing it because they're not accustomed to it, or they can't, or for whatever reason. So I'm concerned that there's a breakdown of some communication, and we should address that.
Well, I do know that prior to Denise leaving, she addressed everybody with, this is the borough email to be used, this is your email address, and she assigned a temporary password. And only for a few exceptions did I hear that there was an issue, otherwise everyone is signing on by themselves and changing their own password.
Can we ask maybe the technology committee meet with Stephanie and just to
Thank you.
clarify?
We're still on old business. Any other old business? All right, any new business? All right, I know we have a closed session that we have to conduct with 3 items, so if there's no other old or new business, can I have a motion to adjourn the public meeting so that we can go into closed session?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, very good. All right, so for closed session, we will need